Chapter 251, The little boy in front of him, with so much sincerity in his eyes, also made Arthur feel that he really couldn't say the words in his heart just now. Little Chi, I came over and wanted to ask, do you have any other wishes in your heart? I can also help you realize them together. Just now, I went to see your patriarch, but I didn't get any useful information from him, and I think there are really many things in your place that I can't figure out for a while. Can you tell me more carefully? Faced with such a problem, Xiaoqi was somewhat speechless, because in his memory, only his own country has been invaded by others, and the reason why he wanted to find someone to help him was only to be able to snatch this country back from that person's hand. Xiaoqi shook his head helplessly. I'm sorry, Arthur really made you wrong. I don't know how to explain this matter to you myself. I originally thought that the patriarch could explain it to you, but now it seems that there is still nothing that can be done. From my memory, I really have nothing to help you. And you are not from our place. So I wonder if you can help us, because there is really something weird in it. I have asked many old people in our clan, they don't remember anything at all, and they just remember that this island has been taken by Ike. Xiaoqi's answer made Arthur feel that the question he asked did not ask anything substantive at all. Moreover, there is really no way to start with such a thing, not to mention the words of the patriarch gang, which also makes Arthur feel like he is really in trouble at this time. He asked Arthur himself. He really didn't have the ability to settle these things. Little Chi is really sorry. I talked to your patriarch a little while ago. What he told me is completely incompatible with the information you gave me. And I think you guys, the place is so strange that there is still time to go back. And your memory has gone through a lot of confusion. So in your heart, maybe I think this island is just something wrong, but your patriarch has experienced so much time and time again. As for the words that I have just discussed with the patriarch, I don't want to say anything. I can only say very sorry to you. Xiaoqi's face suddenly lost his expression. It came out. I understand that this has happened more than once. And you are not alone in our place. But every time they retreat after hearing what the patriarch said, I don't know what the group leader will say, but I think he should be with that hike. Otherwise, how could he face everyone like this? And every time he faced our script, he couldn't tell us what convinced us. Looking at Xiaoqi's hideous Arthur at this time, he was really speechless. It seemed that this matter was not what he had imagined, and the Xiaoqi in front of him was also a paranoid. I'm really sorry, Xiaoqi, I really can't help you guys. It really makes me feel very guilty. Since I can't help much anymore, then I will leave now. Chapter 252. Xiaoqi knew that what he was doing at this time was really difficult for Arthur at this time, but in this case, he really had no way, because he understood that if the current Arthur could not help himself, then he and everyone in this country would face a greater disaster, and they would have no way to save themselves. After all, they have passed so many years, and every time their memory is very confused, so for all of them, this kind of life is their usual kind of life. Arthur, please don't leave, okay? Help us. Looking at Xiaoqi's innocent face and his sincere pleading, Xiaoge didn't know how to deal with it. Arthur had never encountered such a thing before, not to mention that this time things were really a bit too difficult. And he was not such a stubborn person. He knew in his heart how helpless he was for such a thing. At the same time, he also understands that if he really deals with such a thing, then the things that will be caused by then will be very disturbing. Little Chi, do you think this is really good? Should I really intervene in this matter? You should also be able to understand that this kind of matter is really helpless for me. And now all the people on the island don't have any memories. How can I help you in this way? Just relying on some of your rhetoric? Do you think these people of yours, can they really work with me to overthrow the patriarch's comrades, to overthrow Ike's rule? That is simply impossible. So don't think about it so much, okay? Think about it for yourself, how to deal with it. I can still stay here for a day or two. I will try my best to help you investigate the outcome of the matter. If I am not sure about the investigation, then I can only say that I can do nothing. and I am very sorry." Looking at Arthur Xiaoqi at this time, he also knew that he couldn't continue to force anything. "Well, thank you so much." Now Arthur has no place to go, because the island owner has not prepared a room for him, and if he wants to rest in this place, then he can only stay in the place the island owner has prepared for him. When Arthur returned to the island owner's room, he saw that the island owner was alone, sitting there drinking sullen wine. 0. Young man, why are you back again? This island is really not a place where you can stay, so leave it quickly. Looking at the patriarch at this time, Arthur felt very helpless. He could understand how much the patriarch's heart had collapsed at this time, and at the same time he could understand how much the patriarch wanted to drive out that hike. "Patriarch, I have nowhere to go outside, so I want to stay with you for a while. Do you think it's okay? Would you please prepare a room for me? Let me stay here for a while. I want to have a good rest here. Do you think it is okay?" Second. Chapter 253. The patriarch felt that all the words between himself and Arthur had been said for nothing, and at this time Arthur did not even want to leave, but instead had the idea of staying here. This really made the patriarch feel special. Baffling. He had already said so thoroughly, but why did he have to be like this? Could it be that he was very interested in everything that happened on this island for Arthur, or to watch them live in dire straits? He thought it would be very interesting to Arthur. If that were the case, Arthur's mind would be too vicious. "I said, you kid, what do you think? Do you know how much damage you do to us? Do you know what it means to us? Everything you do now is for the people of us now. We are unwilling to continue trying. All the residents of this island do not care. But do you know how many times I have experienced such things on this island? I really don't want to continue the experience anymore. Our island is a dead knot. Wouldn't it be good if you just let us go on like this for a dead knot that can't be opened forever? Must there be so many wars and so many killings? All these years have passed so peacefully. Why do you have to pull this fig leaf off? Does it really benefit you so much after being pulled down?" Listening to the words said by the patriarch so carefully, Arthur also knew that he had met his bottom line again. But when he thought of Xiaoqi's face, Arthur couldn't help but made up his mind. This matter will certainly be taken care of by itself. Otherwise, he would be too sorry for himself. Even more sorry for the trust that Xiaoqi had in him. "Patriarch, listen to me. Actually, I still have an immature suggestion in my heart. If it is said that his lover has the ability to go back in time, then, as long as we break this, won't it be fine? He is not in his own domain. Then he does not have such ability. Then these people on the island can go back to the past. Isn't this bad? Do you have to give in to him in your hands? I don't think you need it. Under such fear, if we can really succeed this time." The old patriarch knew that what Arthur said was very reasonable, but for him, after experiencing all this many times, he had no hope at all. And what is his Ike's ability? In fact, this group leader himself fully understands, and he can also completely control Ike. But how to control the field of his own use, it is a bit difficult. This time, he must beat him to death and disperse his soul, because only in this way, he can't go back to the past again. Only in this way can time keep moving forward according to the normal track, instead of following him like Ike. Thoughts stop and go. Nor can it be like this. Let him Ike whatever he wants. Chapter 254. The old patriarch felt quite satisfied with Arthur's proposal. But often ideals are very sexy and reality is very skinny. I thought very well, but the final result is still the same as before. If I experience it again, I really feel very desperate for the old patriarch. What's more, he has gone through so many times, and he is really unwilling to continue trying. These people obviously want to help himself. But at the end of the day, the old patriarch knew exactly who it was that made him perfect. After all, he was very tired of such times over and over again in the past. "Arthur, I know these things you said are good things, but have you ever thought about what O2 would mean to us if such a thing fails?" You have never thought about all these things, and I think I have done enough for such things. Now for me, I don't want to continue doing it anymore. So you just forgive me, okay? If you want to stay in this place for a few more days, it's okay. Then I will arrange a house for you. You will be here with us for a few days to see our scenery. If you want to have fun with Xiaoqi for 2 days, you can go to him to play. But I hope you don't ask such questions again, okay? Looking at the old patriarch who was already unable to enter at this time, Arthur was really helpless. After all, this is a matter of yours, if you can't even such a thing. So it doesn't matter to Arthur, and this matter is nothing but his own wish for the little child of Xiaoqi. Okay, thank you very much. You can arrange a house for me now. After all, my ship is still docked by the sea. At this time, if there is no special situation, there is no way on my side. Let him stay on the sea, so I hope you can help me, so that my ship can enter the port. Little brother, come here. Coming. With a sound of promise, a 16 or 7-year-old kid walked outside the door. This kid is very handsome, and he knows that he is a very polite and good boy. Little brother, you go to see if there are any rooms left in our place, and arrange for him. If you want to stay here for a long time, you can just look at it and make arrangements. After hearing the old patriarch's arrangement, Arthur followed the young son out of the patriarch's thatched hut. Are you from outside? It's really different from us. You are exactly the same as those outsiders. You can't fly. Why did you come to our island? Our island is very dangerous. There are wars at every turn. And on such an island, there are many unknown monsters who often come to our island to eat people. If you want to stay on this island, then you'd better stay in your own room honestly, otherwise it will definitely be affected. Where is your boat? Let me help you get to the dock, it will be better there. Chapter 255. Listening to this kid talking so much here, Arthur couldn't help but want to know why these people on this island are all the same as Xiaoqi. Is it such a chattering character? Could it be said that the children on this island are all the same and so innocent? I don't have my career mark now, so there is no way to come to your island, and the first person I know on this island is Xiaoqi. I think he is a good boy. Why are you called the second son? Is it also the same name as Xiaoqi? Are all the children on your island named after numbers? The little brother shook his head. We came to a dilapidated thatched hut ahead. Now we have only one guest room left. Our slightly better house has been occupied by those who invaded our country. Now this is the best house in our entire clan. So let him help you. It has everything in it. If you are really uncomfortable living in it, you can also live on your boat. After you have settled your own things, I will accompany you to the port. If there is no local people to accompany you, the port is not at all. Will accept foreign ships. Arthur nodded, and reached out and pushed open the simple door. There was a creaking sound. The whole room can be seen at a glance, and there is nothing around it. The shelter is nothing more than standing there with a few vertical woods, and then covering some thatch on the muddy wall. It can be regarded as a better house. Looking at such a leaky room, Arthur couldn't help but want to laugh a few times. Arthur had never lived in such a simple room, and he had never received such treatment, and such a place was still a very good place in the eyes of them, which is really too irritating. It's funny. Little brother, this is the best room for you. I really didn't expect that the conditions here are so bad. If I had known this a long time ago, I'll bring some of my own things, and just take all my luggage and everything in a while, otherwise it would be unsafe to put it on the boat. And I really want to see your place these days. I think your island is also very amazing. And the most important thing is that I think the scenery on your island is really very beautiful. I like your island. When any person is praised by others in his hometown, he will have a kind of pride, and the second child is no exception. After all, he is a native of this island, so he can also float on in midair. Get it? For his ability to enter this little thatched house, there are really some big obstacles. So the little brother did not follow Arthur into the room at this time, but waited outside. In addition to the muddy walls, there is a wooden table, a wooden chair and a bed in the whole room. And the bed is only made of wood, and there is not even a sheet on it. Chapter 256. According to this simple room, Arthur couldn't help but sighed. This broken place is really too broken. Even at sea, Arthur has never encountered such a situation, and even if he is watching Arthur at sea, he has never suffered such a grievance. Watch now. Such a leak in the house made it really hard for Arthur to tolerate, and he didn't want to stay in this place anymore. After Arthur walked out of the room, watching the little brother who was floating in the air at this time, he looked at himself very boredly. The things in the house are too crude. Are they all like this in your home? If you can find a place with slightly better conditions, it's okay. I really don't want to live in this place. Is there anything better than this? The little two's eyes kept wandering, and Arthur knew what kind of horrible idea he must have in his careful thoughts. I'm really very sorry. We only have these conditions, and you also know that our entire country has been occupied by others. You said we have any good houses. Those castles or those good houses are already occupied by outsiders. You are also an outsider. If you want, you can also go to the castle, and maybe you can also get the favor of being a princess. Listening to these words of the little brother at this time, Arthur couldn't help but laugh. For him, this place itself was nothing more than a passerby. He didn't want to have much intersection with people like them, and for him, Arthur, such a place was just a place where he could recuperate. What's more, he didn't care about those people's evaluations of him at all. But he looked at the second son at this time. The look in his eyes also makes it. Arthur couldn't help but wanted to teach him a lesson. I said, Arthur, why are you doing so many things? Do you know? This is our best house. If it weren't because you were personally accounted for by our patriarch, I won't bring you here at all. And do you know the living environment of all of us now? I will show you in a while. In addition to the patriarch's house, there are other things here. People simply have a day without a meal. Think about what it's like in their home. So you don't think so? Okay. The way you look really makes us all feel particularly uncomfortable, and if you want to continue like this, I have no way to help you find a good place. This is one of our best rooms. If you can live in it, you can live in it. Leave quickly. Arthur didn't expect that he would encounter this kind of thing even after living at such a young age. And the words said by a little kid could give him a good reputation. Thinking about it, he felt particularly ashamed. And he was not a person who didn't know what to do. The most important thing was that he was not a person who couldn't endure hardship. But the conditions in this place are really difficult, so he wanted to ask if he could get better conditions. Chapter 257. Arthur looked at the little second son like this. He also knew that this kid was thinking of a way to let himself go, but for himself he had already come to this place. How can you give up halfway? And since this place has already agreed to Xioki, then he should take a good look. If I can really kill the Tyke, I will definitely kill him, and this time I must kill him cleanly. Let this floating island not have the things that go back in time again. Or else Arthur felt like he could help people like them. And the more it looks like this, the more it will make their memory completely change to another, making their memories all changed, and they have stopped moving in place since childhood. I said, what is it about your kid that can make your kid treat me like this? It's obviously not your fault. And obviously this matter is not your problem. Why do you have to be like this? What kind of relationship do you have with that Ike? The patriarch had already said just now that you asked you to arrange a slightly better room for me. Why did you have to push me away? Could it be said that my presence in this place will really cause trouble for you people? Or is it that I am in this place that will make all of you feel particularly uncomfortable? Xiao Er's face was slightly flushed. He really didn't expect Arthur to say what he was saying casually. And he really didn't think about Arthur. He would say something like this, and at the same time he didn't expect Arthur to say it so confidently, without any suspense. Moreover, he had already said all his own psychology, which also made him a little bit irritated. I said, you kid, how could you say this to me? I'm kindly helping you. Do you know that Ike on our island is a capable man? All of us are very afraid of him. Even our team leader is like this. And this time our team leader is able to let you stay here. Find flowers. It's just that you are considered a good person, and you don't want you to provoke so much right and wrong. Don't you know, our patriarch has always had a heart of compassion and compassion. A person like you treats all of us with all your heart and effort, and those of us can't be so ignorant and avenge us. Arthur didn't think he was living a gentleman's belly like a villain, and for him, Arthur really wanted to help everyone on this island. But now looking at these people on this island, so solemn, Arthur felt that they must have something to do, otherwise, how could they be so afraid of Ike? And these people with so many abilities, but looking at them now really makes Arthur feel very helpless. He is obviously kind, but in the minds of people like them, he has become like this. This really hurts my heart too much. Second, chapter 258, forget it. I don't want to talk to a kid like you about these useless nonsense. A person like you doesn't have much ability at all, and a person like you can't be the master at all. All of this is your leader's problem, and now that I think about it, I find it particularly difficult to believe that your leader actually has a set behind the scenes. This is too hard to believe. If he really disagrees, then why should he let me stay on this island? Can't it just throw me away? But now what he has done is too disgusting for me. The more you look like this, the more I want to know what happened in this matter. Now that everyone has reached this point, let's move on. You can quickly find me a house. I must live here today. The little brother heard such a tyrannical tone from Arthur, and these words he said are really speechless. After all, this person has been approved by the team leader, and he must do what the team leader wants. It's just that for the little two sons at this time, he really felt that Arthur's attitude really made him feel particularly unacceptable. What's more, now he is begging to do things by himself. But the current tone is really unacceptable. I said, how can you be like this? What kind of attitude do you have? People who don't want to fight with you can't see it. Are you obviously bullying the children here? Since you want to be with us, I will tell you that there is only this kind of condition. If there is another one, you can go and check it out. Anyway, we have 2 houses left. You can figure it out by yourself. After the second son finished speaking, he directly took Arthur to another house. And this house is very different from the one just now. This house is made of reinforced concrete and has a high courtyard outside, which can protect privacy at first glance. After entering the yard, I saw that the whole yard was filled with many flowers. At this time, these flowers have all bloomed, and you can smell the fragrance of flowers just after entering the yard. Arthur continued walking to the door of the house and saw it. There should be 3 rooms in this room. In the middle is a hall, with 1 or 2 bedrooms on the left and right. There is a small kitchen and a shower room beside it. How can Arthur not love such an environment, even though he has been floating on the sea for so long, and he really hopes to find a place where he can stay for a while? After all, Arthur still prefers such a place. The most important thing is that a well can be seen in this small courtyard. This is really surprising to Arthur. You must know that this is an island by the sea, and there are still freshwater wells in this place. This is really great. Although there is a lot of seawater at sea, the seawater is salty and it is not edible at all. And even Arthur, who was very difficult to take a bath, felt that he was about to smell bad. As a child who was very willing to be clean, how could he tolerate such a smell on his body? Chapter 259. Arthur saw that the living room was a rule. Everyone would have such a decoration, an 8 immortal table placed in the middle. A chair is placed on each side. On the opposite side of the 2 chairs, there are 4 more chairs, which at first glance is a well-mannered decoration. And behind the table of the 8 immortals, there is still a picture hanging. Arthur had never seen what this painting was about. He had no impression at all. But for Arthur, it did not prevent him from appreciating the painting in front of him. Arthur felt that this was really like a very abstract thing. But for Arthur, he felt that this painting could be painted here, which shows that this painting must have its meaning. Arthur turned to look at the whole bedroom after seeing the O2 in the living room. Not to mention that this one bedroom is much better than the small room just now. Although it was said to be grey and lacquered and could not be occupied by people, it was better than the place just now. At least there was a table and a chair in the room. The bed can be seen before. but it was inhabited, and that bed was also custom made of wooden boards, which was much stronger than the previous one made with wooden sticks. Arthur went to another room and there was nothing. But this does not hinder Arthur. I already like this house in my heart. Arthur walked to the living room and looked at it, and the little brother who was waiting there nodded. That's this house. I can live here for 2 days. I like this room very much. In a while, you can go to the boat with me and take all my things. Otherwise, in this weather, I wouldn't be able to sleep on a bare board bed. The little second son is really speechless. This room is not willing to let him live, but this kid is actually here. It seems that he will have to talk to the group leader in a while. Since you like this room, there is one more thing I want to tell you. This room was dead not long ago. Otherwise, such a good house would never be stolen. And people say that the man died very miserably. He died in this room, so this house is empty. Otherwise, do you think there will be no one living in this house? Arthur is an atheist and he doesn't care about it at all. And he felt that there could be dead people in any house, and dead people slept in any bed. How can this be? After all, people are already dead. Whether the remaining souls or ghosts, they have already been reborn in the paradise of bliss. For him, Arthur didn't care about all this. Okay. Your kid is the one who didn't keep the door on his mouth. Since you have said so much, if I don't live here yet, am I very sorry to you? Don't worry, I know this place in my heart. I'm going to live in this house. You can quickly take me to that boat and move my things over for me. And my boat must be parked in the port. Otherwise, the wind and waves on the sea are quite big, and my boat has finally arrived. If it is really lost, there will be no way for me to leave. Chapter 260. The little brother had never seen such a thick-skinned person. Even though he had said so much, Arthur still didn't care at all, which made him useless at all. Well, since you have said so much, then you are willing to live here and live here. Now hurry up and follow me. Where is your boat parked? Stopped in the harbor next to it. That place is very dangerous. There are often some sharks. And that place is a calm but not peaceful place. There are often some whirlwinds blowing from there, and then your boat will be blown away. But don't blame us. Arthur came to this small island for a day, and during this day, his boat stopped in that harbor. Originally, he thought it was a natural safe haven, but now that he heard the words of his younger son, he was still a little worried. If his boat was really scraped away, it would be really troublesome. It was a boat that he wanted to arrive in Ruzigo. And my own boat is actually a very good boat. If the people on this small island really don't welcome them, I can stay on that boat. Not to mention such a small island. If everyone really doesn't like his staying here, Arthur can actually go on sailing. After all, he wants to find a new route, and this kind of route must also let him explore little by little. When Arthur and his youngest son returned to the shore again, he realized that his ship had really been blown to another place by the wind. Arthur found it particularly unbelievable. Why, this place seemed to be a very good harbor, but after the boat stopped here, it would really drift into unexpected distances. This place is full of evils, and I think such a place is really surprising, since it can be done. That also means that your place must have some other things that make people different. It seems that I am really here today. Arthur pointed his finger to his boat, and then said to the little brother, my boat has drifted so far, should I find a boat to drive it back? Or if he really does go far, then I will not be able to leave you here. The second son looked back at Arthur and jumped directly into the sea after the appointment. Arthur couldn't help but admire him very much when he looked at the little brother's skill at this time. He was like a dragon in the sea. I saw the little brother plopping constantly in the water at this time. It was useless for a while, and he had already swam onto Arthur's boat, and had already entered the boat when he turned over. Obtainable. Arthur couldn't help but clap his hands in applause. Just such a handout, for him. Arthur really didn't have that ability, and Arthur couldn't help feeling very envious when he looked at him like this. Arthur's water is relatively good on weekdays, but compared with this little brother, it is really a world of difference, and when Arthur comes up in this sea area, he can know that there are many hidden reefs around this area. Chapter 261. Otherwise, Arthur had already driven the boat to the most shore, and when Arthur was docking, the boat had already encountered the reef. So at this time Arthur was really I don't dare to drive the boat so close. Arthur discovered that the little two had slowly rowed the boat into another small harbor, and that place seemed to be a harbor on their island, and Arthur did not see that small harbor. And I don't know why. How did the harbor appear before my eyes, and I didn't see that place at all when I came, and I didn't even see it just now, and this place seemed to appear out of thin air, and Arthur also felt very puzzled. After the little brother docked the boat there, Arthur came along the coastline. When he arrived at the harbor, Arthur discovered that there was really a cave in it. Many boats have been parked inside, and most of these boats have a fixed position. Arthur found that this position was like in the current parking lot. Each boat was docked in one direction. When Arthur stepped on his own boat again, he found that there seemed to be a slight leak at the bottom of the boat. But because of the amount of water seepage, there was less Arthur, and everything was not harmed. But now the little second son was holding a small hammer next to him and fixing something clanging. "What is your kid doing here?" "Just now, when I watched you go into the water, I really thought you were handsome." "You don't know that for me. I really think it's such a place. It really makes me feel very hard to believe how your water is so good, and I look at you as if you are repairing my boat. Could it be that there is still a leak in my boat?" After I walked this way, I felt that there was something wrong with this boat. Otherwise, I wouldn't come to you. "Did you find anything?" The little brother's finger pointed to a small gap next to him. "This place seems to have not been painted properly when I painted it. We will tow the boat to the shore by tomorrow, and then I will give you a good repair. Let me fix it a little bit for you now." "If this is the case, even if I forget this thing tomorrow, there will be no problem with this ship. But if you want to repair it, you should push it to the shore. But today I can't do this by myself. I happen to find a few people to come and help tomorrow, so we can fix it together." The little second son is really a warm-hearted person. The words in his mouth are not particularly nice, but his actual actions have deeply infected Arthur, and Arthur is also very moved by what he said. "Endless. Thank you really. I didn't expect your heart to be so good. And I didn't expect you to help me in this way. You must know that if it is at sea, my technology says that if the water is really leaking, then I will have no way to repair it. Thank you." Chapter 262. After taking a glance at Arthur indifferently, the little two directly picked up the things Arthur had piled up, and the two came to the shore together. Arthur didn't have much stuff, but the bits and pieces always had to be carried a few times. And the little man not only had good water ability, but also had great strength. When Arthur was asked to move everything back to the house, Arthur was completely tired and sat in the chair. At this time, the little brother was still very energetic, and he didn't feel a trace of fatigue. He drew some water from the well, and then began to clean up the house. Arthur felt that this little boy was like a robot. He didn't know fatigue at all, and he was really exhausted. But he was able to clean up for himself, and all the sanitation here and out was cleaned up, and the whole room seemed to be completely new-like. After Arthur had already made the bed, he lay directly on the bed, unable to move even if he wanted to, feeling that if he moved his fingers, it would feel very difficult, and Arthur knew that this time was already his limit. "My little brother, really thank you. I won't entertain you tonight. I don't want to move anymore. If you can help me make a dinner, that would be really great." The little brother looked at Arthur in this way, really despised him very much, and clearly said that he wanted to help all of them. But now it's even impossible to bear such a little bit of pain, and the amount of work he has done has already become this virtue. If this really starts a war, he really has no combat power at all. The youngest son resignedly took out Arthur's grains and went to the kitchen. After a while, he could smell the fragrance. There was a groaning sound from Arthur's stomach at this time. After getting up silently, Arthur stroked his stomach, went to the kitchen, and saw that the little brother at this time seemed to have become a chef. The little bit of his own dry food had completely changed into another appearance in his hand, and the alluring fragrance that came from it made Arthur swallow his saliva involuntarily. Fine flowers. The simple and honest look of the little two came into Arthur's eyes again. Why are you hungry? You have too few things. I can only make some of these for you. You will eat it yourself, and we will go out to catch some fish until tomorrow. At that time, I will cook more delicious food for you. It looks like you have not eaten for a long time. You must know that everyone on our island is a good cook. And on our island, if you don't know how to cook and eat, you will be looked down upon, and you won't even be able to marry a daughter-in-law. Just like you want to live with us. You seem to be really unqualified. Arthur felt that he was once again despised by the shop's second person. And this time the contempt was so naked that he didn't even have the ability to refute it. This made him feel as if he was a worthless person in front of him. Chapter 263. Arthur really felt embarrassed in his heart when he looked at the food like this. After all, he now really feels that when he eats this kind of food, he will feel particularly delicious when he eats it in his mouth. And now just looking at it, it can make Arthur feel that his own things are really too small, and it can even swallow a lot of good things. I said that you are really amazing, my little brother. In front of you, I really seem to think that I am useless. You can make something so delicious. That's really great. The little brother didn't think that Arthur's appearance could make him very heartwarming, and his little brother can now be said that I can go to the sea to catch fish, cook and wash. How can he be willing to be like Arthur? How about a waste person staying together? What's more, Arthur's current ability hasn't been fully demonstrated, so for the little brother at this time, he couldn't help but shook his head. Just forget it. I don't want to be with you anymore. For a person like you, and looking at your virtue, I don't know how to say it anymore. I don't have the ability to go to sea with you, and I think for me, a person like you, I really don't want to care about you. Seeing that he was so nakedly disgusted, Arthur couldn't help but feel a little helpless. And Arthur thought he was really an all-rounder, but now he realized that in front of this little child, he seemed to be a little inadequate. I feel a little guilty of hearing what you said, and a person like me can't make you feel safe in front of you. What use do you think I am now? Since I have promised to help these people on your island, tomorrow, let you see what kind of strength I have. Arthur brought out his food and sat in the living room with the little two. Seeing that his food has been made so delicious, Arthur couldn't help but stretch out his thumb. Little two, I really admire you very much. You can be like this. It is really great. I really like these good things. You can make such a simple food into such a delicious thing. I really did not expect it. It seems these children on your island, all of them are very good. Tomorrow you will take me to go hunting. It is best for me to take a look at the invaders, what kind of abilities they have, and it is best for me to feel them. This kind of ability. All the questions of the little two have been written on his face. It can be said that he has changed his face at this moment. After all, these people and those invaders have passed so many years. I don't know how many years of the duel. And I don't know how many times I have rejected it. But every time the two sides communicated with each other, and there were no major casualties, both sides were also very afraid of each other at this time. Moreover, the patriarch had already ordered that he would never allow these people of his own tribe to be casual, go to trouble with those people. Chapter 264. At the same time, those invaders are definitely not allowed to trouble their own people, so the two sides have already agreed, and now Arthur actually wants to try and compete with them. How is this possible? The little brother felt that he would never agree to the request of Arthur in front of him. After all, if this matter were really known by the patriarch, he would also be severely punished. I said you guys should hurry up. I would never do this kind of thing, and for me, if I really did it, then it would be really wrong. You have to know that our patriarch has already had this kind of case, so you put your heart in your stomach, and you should never think about this kind of thing. Moreover, our patriarch had already made this agreement with Ike, and no one could violate this agreement. So think about it. For us, how can we dare to violate his wishes? and all of us are very aware of this kind of thing in our hearts if we are to be true at this time. How can the patriarch's temper and temperament forgive us? Arthur didn't expect that people like them would still have such a weird and true rule. He didn't expect that this patriarch at this time would actually think of doing so. What's more, I didn't feel that these people have such discipline, but now they have planned all of this very well, and what they want to do has been completely blocked by them. Is the second son really like this? Has your patriarch really issued such an order? Why did he give this order? Is it true that he really wants to live peacefully with that X person? Does he really care about the life and death of you people? Could it be said that everything you people have is nothing more than a random thing for him? The little two felt that Arthur at this time was really hard to believe. And what Arthur said at this time was really too extreme. This is a matter agreed upon by the people of their entire clan. Why did he break such a calm after Arthur came? What's more, such a bottleneck is very important to everyone there present. You must know if you continue to fight and kill, there will never be peace in their place. And all these people will also make everyone feel special fear because of Arthur's fight. This also makes it impossible for all these tribes to survive. What's the point of such a thing? Even these people have been forced to leave their big house. But if you can live a stable life, the little brother felt that such a life was relatively acceptable to him, not to mention all these years they have all lived in such an environment, no matter what they want to do in the future, for each of their tribes. This is their own choice, and it is impossible for them to replace them. Chapter 265. Sometimes Arthur, I think these words you said are too extreme, and sometimes I really think you say it is for our good. But what kind of things are you thinking about in your place? Don't you know it in your own heart? Although you said that you want to help us, but those of us are already used to this kind of life. Why do you have to impose your own will on us? We ourselves think that this kind of thing is pretty good. This kind of life can make us self-sufficient. Isn't that enough? Do you have to force us to meet swordsmen? Do you know what a war means to our people? The life we live on this island is also very leisurely, and our life on this island is also very rich. Isn't that enough? Why do you have to impose your will on us? After hearing this questioning, Arthur really felt that he was speechless. Arthur had originally thought very well. He felt that these things he did, and the people on the entire island, would definitely be grateful to him. But now it seems that reality is not the same thing as what I imagined, and in real life these people have long been numb. These people have already lived this kind of hard life. For them, such a life, in fact, has long since disappeared. And everyone has long been accustomed to such a way of life. If you want to continue living with another way of life, it may be a huge challenge for these people, and they have been conquered by this kind of oppression. They simply don't have that kind of resistance. It was his arrival of Arthur, and it was just that a little wave appeared in their peaceful life, but it definitely did not affect their normal life. Arthur is now able to understand what the little two is thinking, and now Arthur can also be regarded as able to understand why these people have become like this one by one. And now Arthur can be regarded as able to understand why these people on the island, even if they have been so wronged, they still live so optimistically. Although children like Xiaoqi feel that they have been very wronged, in the eyes of their adults, they are already very comfortable with this kind of life. And the patriarch has already suppressed everything. So now even children like Xiaoqi want to regain their country, but in this case, the adults are not willing to continue. Such a change happened. Grave accent diaresis. I can see the little brother, you people really have a good time, and you really don't want to live this kind of life anymore. Since this is the case, I'm staying here to recuperate for a while. I know you people are very capable. So in a place like this, I can see it now. You just want to live a good life. Go down. Chapter 266. Xiao equals Z nodded excitedly over there. In fact, they have really enjoyed a life like this, and they really don't want to continue with any changes. These little children also think that this kind of life is actually very good. And in this kind of life, everyone is quite comfortable. Except for hunting every day, the rest of the time is very free. You can do whatever you want. and these children can also have a very comfortable life after hunting, which is completely enough. If Arthur really wanted to help people like them, then there would be a big and fierce war. And such a war must have a lot of deaths. Think about it for the people on their small island. This is what they don't want to see at all. Arthur, we all hope that you can understand our feelings at this moment. After all, we have lived this life for us for a long time. We are all used to such a way of life. Think about it, if you really disrupt all our lives, will this be a big change for everyone who lives on this island? Those of us young people will die for this. And our parents, brothers, our wives and mothers, they will feel sad about this. Why do you think this is the cause? We are all tortured by the belief that we don't know when we can resist to the end, and we don't know how far we can hold on. So now you don't want to continue to challenge our bottom line. Okay, if you really want to be good friends with us, then we can live peacefully in this place, and live whatever we want. Wouldn't it be good? Isn't it good to go fishing every day, and then what to do? Why do you have to be so persistent? Looking at the little son Arthur who was talking about him at this time, he felt that his appearance was really inconsistent with his age, and he did not expect that he would do such a thing at this young age. What's more, this small age is able to say such a thing. It seems that the men and women on this island are not simple figures, even children. And after Arthur heard these words, he understood them. After all, this is the kind of life people want, and he definitely doesn't have that idea to change. And if Arthur really wanted to help people like them, then they had to make them willing to do so. And Arthur didn't want to make any scheming. And I don't want to use any means, just want to look at these people. Peace and joy is enough. As for Xiaoqi's careful wish, it can only be made by him slowly brewing. And at this time, Arthur felt that if he really saw the community again, he would definitely discuss with him and persuade him. After all, this kid's mind was a bit crooked, and he was a bit out of tune with everyone on the island. So now for Arthur, he should really face such a problem. Chapter 267, After Arthur and the second son had eaten, the second son had already left the yard and left the entire yard to him alone. Arthur didn't plan to stay permanently on this island, so he didn't care about the plan in the yard, but the well in the yard was so beautiful, and Arthur felt particularly like it. In this kind of weather, taking a cold bath before going to bed at night is really a very happy thing for Arthur. When the little brother left, Arthur had already wandered around the entire yard and the entire room. The sky had gradually darkened, but there was not a trace of wind on this small island. This place was too hot, and Arthur felt that he was completely out of breath from the heat. And Arthur found a big wooden barrel in the utility room and put it in the yard. Dumping some water directly from the well, and putting it in the wooden barrel, Arthur jumped into the wooden barrel all at once. This made Arthur very cold. The hot breath on his body suddenly seemed to be far away from him. After exhaling heavily, Arthur felt that he was really comfortable at this time. There was a soft knock on the door at this time. Arthur quickly got out of the bucket and quickly returned to the room. He changed his clothes before returning to the yard again, and the knock on the door did not stop, but kept knocking on the door. Arthur really wanted to see what kind of person it was, so persevering. After opening the door, Xiaoqi and his mother turned out to be two people. "You two, please sit down. I didn't expect you to come here at this time. Have you all had dinner? Is there a well in your house? If not, there is a water feature in my place. You can also come and take a shower. The water is really comfortable." Seeing what Arthur was like at this time, Xiaoqi and his mother couldn't help but their faces darkened. They walked into the yard. Looking at the big wooden barrel, Xiaoqi's face in the courtyard at this time, the look that showed, "I wanted to eat Arthur. Find flowers. Why is this person like this? How can you use other people's things casually by living in someone's home? Do you know what this wooden barrel is for? You just put it here, and seeing that you have put a lot of water in it, have you already taken a bath in it? I'm telling you, this wooden barrel is a wooden barrel kept for rice in our house. How can you do this? Did you know that your wooden barrels with water will be damp when the rice is filled, even if they are dried and filled with rice? they will become more or less damp. How do we live this way? This house was originally ours, how can you not cherish it so much? What's more, these things were originally placed in the utility room. How can you still take them out? I'm really too convinced of you, and really too indifferent. Such a complaint made Arthur feel like he was already. There is no room for self-confidence. And he just used a shepherd boy. Second. Chapter 268. How come Xiaoqi's mouth has become such a big rebellion, and he just wants to take a bath in this place. But in his Xiaoqi's opinion, he really has done one. It should be thunderous 5 days. I said, Xiaoqi, what do you think? I remember that there is nothing wrong with this place, and the family in this place also lent me a house. What's more, this place is the house that the patriarch found for me. Can't I use it? And the little two had already said it when they left. I can use everything in this place at will. If it gets into your mouth, I seem to have done something big, depending on what makes you angry. Is this original house yours? So why don't you come back to life? What do you want to talk to the patriarch? What are you telling me for? I just borrowed the wooden barrel. Is this also wrong? Isn't that wood put in there is a waste of nothing? What can I do if I use it? Arthur knew that at this time, he might be really arrogant, but for Arthur at this time, he really didn't want to see Xiaoqi like that. And he just didn't know what the situation was, and there was no need for him to reprimand himself like this as soon as he came in. What's more, he has grown up so old that no one has been able to reprimand himself like this. Arthur's words immediately angered Xiaoqi's mother. He looked at his good home and was occupied by someone like Arthur, which also made him feel very uncomfortable in his heart. Moreover, he used his own things so grandly. How could this be something he could bear? At this time, Xiaoqi's mother's face had become extraordinarily acrimonious. It was a face that originally looked like this, but now she deliberately did it. After that, it became more unacceptable, and the words in his mouth really made Arthur feel that he really couldn't communicate with such a person. Arthur, you said how can you be so ungrateful? When you came to this island, my son was the first person you saw, and my son took you to our house. Doesn't this situation mean that our two families should be better? You now live in our home 0. You should take good care of these things in our house. And this place used to belong to our house. All these things belong to us, do you know? Without our consent and permission, you should definitely not use these things. So now if you can accompany us some money, we just assume that there is no such thing. If it doesn't work, even if it's the patriarch, we still have a chance of winning. Seeing the woman who was so stubborn and unreasonable at this time, Arthur was really speechless. I am a macho man. It would be easy to say if he was really familiar with this kind of woman. But if this woman really allowed him to mess around here, Arthur felt that he couldn't tolerate it. Chapter 269. I said, this great God, what you said really made me feel particularly embarrassed. Is this your home? If you say this is your home, then I should ask the team leader things. How did he arrange it? Why do you want to place me in your home? You must know that I really don't have the habit of living in other people's homes. And I also have some slight cleanliness, so I don't use other people's things at all. I know that there is no one in this house. That's why I was able to relax like this, and your appearance made me feel a little embarrassed. Xiaoqi looked at her mother like this. His face was also very embarrassed. Mother, don't be like this. So Arthur is my best friend. He doesn't have any friends on this island. If I don't treat him as a friend, how pitiful he is. Besides, we have not lived in the patriarch of this house for so long. Lending this house to Arthur is also a matter of the clan. We can't question it at all, so you should just stop it, okay? Xiaoqi's mother, after wandering around in the yard, didn't say anything, but turned around and left. Xiaoqi looked awkwardly, and Arthur said helplessly, Arthur is really sorry, please don't be familiar with my mother, she is already very old, and the past few years have made him feel exhausted because of my problems. And he is not so acrimonious in his daily life. It's just that when he encounters these things before, he will involuntarily think of the things that happened before, so I am here to apologize for him. The uncomfortable feeling in Arthur's heart had already disappeared after Xiaoqi's apology. "It doesn't matter. I don't care about things like old people, but your mother's temper should be restrained. It doesn't matter to me, but if I change to someone else, I don't know what kind of attitude they and others will have, and you can't always follow his ass and tell him these messes. For these people on the island to create such a temper, it will often quarrel, so you should think about what to do." As Arthur was talking, he took Xiaoqi back to the room. At this time, he took out a little snack of his own and handed it to Xiaoqi. "Bring you some delicious food," and coax him back. "You must know that both the old man and the child look the same. In the current situation of your mother, I think he should be a mental illness, so you still treat him well. These things are all I got outside before. Go back to your mother and say that I apologized to him. In this way, he can feel better in his heart, and I have other things, so you can bring him back a little bit." Xiaoqi looked at the things she was holding in her hand, and couldn't help being very happy. There are so many good things that he had never seen before, and so many good things are really in their place. It's rare. Chapter 270. In his stingy heart, he wanted to take all these things as his own, but his reason told him what he shouldn't do. Arthur doesn't owe him anything. What's more, what his mother said just now is really a bit too much, and it is already a very good thing that Arthur can ignore him. There was no need at all, and I apologized to myself. I really can't ask for so many good things about Arthur. You should keep it for yourself. You have to know that this island is actually very barren. Our place has very few resources. If you want to change other resources on this island, you can still do these things, so I really can't ask for these things for him. Arthur wanted as much as he wanted, and he had lived on this sea for so many days. He really felt that there was a place for him to recuperate. It was really not easy. And the reason why Arthur chose this island was just that these people on this island were very curious. He wanted to explore such a secret, and she wanted to find another one. A sea route? Because only in this way can more people go to farther places through this new route, and he really hoped that he was a pioneer. Between island after island, Arthur felt that he could meet some interesting people and things. Constantly working hard for this new route, the floating island did not appear in Arthur's logbook, so he wanted to study the unexpected things on the floating island. "You take it back, Xiaoqi, these things are of no use to me at all, and I'm a boy, how do you think I can use such things myself? These were originally things used by women. Wouldn't it be good to coax your mother after you take them back?" In this case, she felt a little more comfortable in her heart. You don't need to be scolded every day, and your mother's temper will be better, so the family will be more harmonious. Looking at these good things in front of her, Xiaoqi couldn't help but reach out to these good things. Touched on the body. Arthur looked at Xiaoqi reluctantly at this time, and couldn't help laughing. Grave accent. Diaresis, hurry up. Take what your brother gave you. Don't worry, brother will never go back, and a good boy like you, brother thinks. It is also very rare. And when your elder brother has something in the future, wouldn't it be okay for you to help your elder brother share more? Come here early tomorrow and take me to find it for a stroll. This can be regarded as repaying me. When Xiaoqi was happy, she hugged all the fabrics in front of her in her arms. You know that these dressings can be regarded as good things on their small island, and what they usually wear is some clothes made by themselves. Some are mostly made from the skins of some big fish, and some are clothes made from the fur of animals in the mountains. I've heard people say that Xiaoqi, a fabric with some beautiful patterns, has only heard of it, but I've never seen it before. Chapter 271. But when he held the fabrics in his hands, he felt very moved in his heart that he was able to make Arthur. Such a friend is really very lucky. Fortunately, I didn't continue to scold him at the time, otherwise I might really not have a few good friends. Did you really give it to me? You didn't lie to me. You really can't buy such a good thing here, and such a good fabric. Only those who invaded our country have in their hands, and we can only wear those homespun clothes. If you give me all these, I really thank you very much. So many good things. just going back to make a good dress for my mother." Seeing the silly little Arthur at this time couldn't help laughing. "Okay, don't say these things that make me laugh. Take them back quickly. Your mother has been away for so long, so be careful when she loses her temper with you." Xiaoqi hurriedly took the cloth and walked out, and said to Arthur as he walked, "Brother Arthur, don't worry, I will definitely come to you early tomorrow morning. Tomorrow I will ask my mother to cook you some delicious food and make some food unique to our island." Seeing the pace of Xiaoqi leaving at this time, Arthur couldn't help but shook his head with a smile. The night on the island is very peaceful. The moon hung high in the sky. Alone, Arthur took out a large rocking chair from the storage room next to it and placed it in the middle of the yard. The breeze on the island at this time continued. The temperature was not as high as in the day, and there was some slight sea breeze. It was really very pleasant when it came over. Arthur lay like this. I fell asleep in the yard without knowing it. When Arthur woke up in the morning of the second day, he felt very sore in his body, as if he had done a lot of work that night. Silently stood up, rubbed his shoulders, and did a few big rounds in the yard, which also made Arthur's shoulders feel more comfortable. I slept in the yard all night in a daze last night, and the water in the big wooden barrel was not poured out. After Arthur poured out the water in the wooden bucket, he drew a bucket of water from the well again and placed it in the yard. In this way, when Arthur came back in the evening, the water in the yard had been slightly warmed by the sun, just to take a shower. There was a clanging knock on the door. "Who can come to yourself in this morning?" Feeling very puzzled, Arthur walked to the door and opened the door to see that Xiao Erzi and Xiaoqi were both standing at the door. "You two are really early enough. It's only what time? Why did you come so early? Are you both so early on weekdays? What arrangements are there today?" Xiao Erzi and Xiaoqi glanced at each other. Said after walking into the yard silently. "In the past 2 days, the Patriarch has issued an order that we are going to see once. The specific time has not yet been determined. But we should also do a preparatory work in advance, so we have to be busy for this 2 days. Chapter 272, Going Out to Hunt at Sea. Arthur hasn't really seen the scene of hunting with a big ship for a long time. What he saw when he was on a pirate ship before was just some of the food they were fighting for life. Now after Arthur heard the news, she really felt a little blood boiled. She wanted to go out to sea with these people to see how they hunted with the big boat. And you know the kind of ship, but as thinking of such a big ship with dozens of sailors, Arthur couldn't help but yearn for it very much. "How much money do you use to go hunting this time? How much manpower do you need? If you need it, I can help you do it together. Although I haven't been a sailor on this sort of ship before, I have also done some things on other ships. If you really need me, I can go to sea with you, and I am also on the ship, a good hand." Listening to these words of Arthur, the little brother couldn't help but despise him a little. After all, he came to their island. Although he only had 1 day, it was enough for the little brother to understand Arthur's ability at this time. Just relying on himself to drive the boat like that, the little two felt that Arthur was not a hunter at all. Arthur's time to go to sea this time may not be determined now, and the number of people going to sea has not yet been determined. If the number of people is large, we will use the big boat. If the number of people is small, we will use the medium boat. Now it depends on the number of people. This time in our group, it is to pay a certain tax to the king, so there is no way to go hunting once. Otherwise, our entire clan really doesn't have this strength to surrender enough prey. And this time Ike was very anxious. There was no way. The Patriarch had to organize such a hunt, because only in this way could he hand in enough prey. After Arthur heard the news, he couldn't help but feel a little impulsive in his heart. After all, he still had his heart on Arthur, hoping to achieve Xiaoqi's satisfaction, and also wanted to meet, for a while, Ike, who made the Patriarch feel a little jealous. Find flowers. Really, this is really great. In fact, I am still a very capable person. Don't look at me in that way. I tell you, you don't know my ability at all, and I am really a generalist on the sea, although I don't know how to fish and hunt. But I will do other things. and you will definitely make you worthwhile with me. And I am the best at it, but can navigate for you. And I also know which fish nearby are the most willing places to appear, and we often rely on luck when we hunt in the sea. So you should really take me there." Seeing that Arthur's confident eyes, the little brother and Arthur couldn't help but believe him a little. Arthur watched the two of them still standing at the door, and quickly let them into the yard. When Xiao Erzi and Xiao Qi looked at the big recliner in the yard, Chapter 273, cannot help but exclaimed, "My God, how did you get this thing out? Do you know that this thing is absolutely not allowed in this yard? And this kind of thing is not a good thing for the people on our small island. This is the invaders of those people here. We have all put it away. Why do you want to find it out? Do you know what this thing means to us people? I really didn't expect that. You are really a troublemaker. Take them all back quickly. If anyone else knows about it, you will be criticized." Arthur couldn't help but was stunned. He really didn't expect such a recliner to cause so many things, and he really didn't expect such a recliner. It makes them think so much. It's just a chair. What if I slept on it? What's more, the people on their island are so cowardly. If it is because of such a chair that people like them feel drunk and uneasy, Arthur feels as if he is really a bit rebellious. I said it is really weird for the two of you. This is just a chair, and I use it. It's just that. Just lying down. This kind of thing has become so nervous for you all. Xixi. I think you are really a bit of grass and trees. This is just a chair that can be seen casually, but for you, you have been so stimulated. You really made me speechless. It can be said. Xiao Erzi and Xiao Qi both couldn't help but narrowed their eyes. Arthur looked at them solemnly, and couldn't help but wonder why they were so entangled with such a chair, why they people have so many thoughts. Could it be said that it was really this chair that allowed those invaders to invade their country? Could it be that it was because of such a chair that the lover fell in love with this place? After Arthur put the chair in the utility room again, he could not help but breathe a sigh of relief when he looked at Xiaoqi and his youngest son. Arthur knew that it seemed that they really care about this matter, and if they want to continue to enjoy the shade in the future, they can only do so when they have not come to this house. I said you are really weird. This kind of thing really has nothing to do with you, and it's just a chair. You remember to do this, then I can only do what I do in the countryside. You have seen that I have put all those back in. Don't worry, I will never do this kind of thing next time. Hearing Arthur's assurance, the two people were relieved, because they both knew that Arthur was a very stubborn person, and Arthur was also a very stubborn person. The things he had promised himself would definitely work hard to complete, and now that they heard this answer from Arthur, the two of them were relieved a lot. After all, Arthur was a guest in their clan, and the two had no right to ask Arthur. Chapter 274. Now that Arthur was able to agree to his request so sensibly, it really made the two of them breathe a sigh of relief. Arthur, you have not eaten. We don't eat breakfast in this place. We don't know what's going on in your hometown, but as long as our place is normal, every family doesn't eat breakfast. And we have breakfast time. It was around 10 a.m. and we didn't eat lunch. The time for lunch was changed between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In this way, we eat 2 meals a day and can also save some food. Looking at the two children in front of him, Arthur couldn't help but feel a little curious. For them too, can they really eat enough for such a two-life habit? Can they really solve their daily needs? They really can. Don't your body lack nutrition? And Arthur couldn't help but looked at the two people in wonder. If you have 2 meals a day, can you eat your meals normally? Why don't people eat 3 meals a day? Why do you have to eat 2 meals? Your words like this are likely to cause a series of different reactions to your body. I really don't know why you want to do this. For Arthur's incomprehension, Xiao Qi and Xiao also didn't understand what was going on with these words that Arthur asked. Could it be that there are people eating 3 meals on some islands they don't know about? In that case, it would be a waste of food. And in that case, would it really be enough to eat? After Arthur gave himself a simple wash and looked at the people waiting in the yard, the two asked with a smile, "Since we don't have breakfast anymore, Where do we go in the morning? You two tell me something about what fun things are on your island. Or it's something you think is very interesting. Can you take me around for 2 days? Okay. Or if you need to prepare some tools when you are going to sea, I can also help you to do this. Seeing Arthur talking, these fun and delicious places. The two of them couldn't help but sigh helplessly. At the same time, after looking at each other, they saw such a deep sense of helplessness in each other's eyes. Arthur, our time is really tight these days, so if you can help us, then try to help us. If you can't help, I hope you don't mess with us in these 2 days, okay? Although I am a little bit younger for the sake of my child's destiny. But there are many young people who accompany us on this island, and we are now regarded as small adults. We can do what we can do with interest. So there are too many things we have to do in these 2 days, and we will make sufficient preparations for such a trip. What I want to do, I think I can spare a certain amount of time in these 2 days to help you plan together, so don't worry. Arthur looked unscrupulously on the youngest son and Xiaoqi. Chapter 275. If he goes to sea, Arthur feels that he can also help, and he feels quite good about himself. He felt that he was a flood dragon at sea, and he came from this sea, so he also hopes that these people can take themselves with them when they go out to sea. And he also knew the purpose of these people wanting to go to sea, so for him Arthur, it is really a very lucky thing to be able to go to sea with these people. And he also wanted to know where these people went to sea, not to mention the small islands around Arthur that hadn't been discovered yet. So these small islands in this sea area are really an unknown world, and Arthur hopes to explore those unknown worlds with them. May I go with you? I will honestly accompany you to go out to sea in the past few days, and wait until when you have time. Let's go hunting on the island again. Do you think it's okay? Xiaoqi and Xiao came here this morning, and they were also ordered by the patriarch to ask Arthur what he meant. Now Arthur himself has actively proposed the idea of going out to sea with them, so that the two of them don't have to persuade something. Yes, if you really want to go to sea with us, then you will stay with us to prepare some tools in these 2 days. Then let us get acquainted with our sailing boats, so that we can cooperate more tacitly together, and this time, it is ours. The famous hunter went to sea with him. In this way, it can also ensure that we can reach some precious prey. Only in this way can we hand in enough food as soon as possible. Arthur wanted to go out to sea with this group of people. In fact, it was just to see the surrounding routes, for him, since Arthur had already arrived here. Then you should see what is worth exploring around here. And this floating island until now, he has only seen the fur. What's more, he had promised Xiaoqi's thing, and now he couldn't do it, which really made him feel a little frustrated. Arthur, then you can go with us. The patriarch said, if you really want to go to sea with us, then eat and live with us these days. Those of us who go to sea must live together, so that we can also hone some of our closeness, so that when we go to sea together, there will be no disputes. For this kind of thing, Arthur didn't think he had what kind of ability and how well they could cooperate, and he didn't think he could make any contribution in such a fishing. And he wanted to go to sea with Arthur, but he was really bored and felt that going to sea should be a very fun thing. After all, Arthur did this when he went to sea before, and if the people on these floating islands left the island, would they be able to float in the air? This also made Arthur feel a little curious, and Arthur also wanted to know what these people would look like after they went to sea or how they are now. Can all these people be like they are now? Chapter 276. Arthur locked the door and followed Xiaoqi and Xiao Erzi to the beach. In fact, there are already many people on the seashore, and they have already begun preparations. This time Xiaoqi couldn't go to sea with them, because he was too young. But Xiao Erzi could go to sea with them. A lot of people have gathered on the shore at this time. They are all busy with their own affairs. When the patriarch watched Arthur and Xiaoqi come back together, he shook his hand at them, and they came to the patriarch's beside. "Thank you very much for joining our team. All of us are very experienced fishing masters. This time we are going to hunt tuna, because this season is the season after tuna breeding, and these tuna will have a small harbor in the sea near ours. They will thrive in that place, which is a place where they have returned to the dynasty for generations. We will set off as soon as possible, and then go to the place, and wait until these tuna have been reproduced before we hunt. In this case, we cannot cause any practical harm to them, and at the same time we can retain their ethnic group. This is the best step we can do, and if we can catch enough tuna this time, we will be able to deliver the food that the invaders need on time. Then he will not be able to take any actions against us. So this time Arthur really thanked you for being able to follow us." Arthur thought he heard something. So why did they have to catch this tuna this time? To know this kind of tuna on weekdays. But a deep sea fish, and if not because they need it, they basically will not go close to the coastline. Moreover, they generally live in the deep sea at a depth of 100 meters, and it is very difficult to catch them. Arthur also did some investigations and researches before, so he likes to eat this kind of fish very much. But after so many years of sailing on the sea, he basically never caught tuna by himself. What's more, there are many species of tuna, and no matter which species it is, one of the best ways to use tuna is to make the best tuna species in the world is bluefin tuna. Patriarch, is this really what you said? What you want to catch is bluefin tuna, and you have to catch a lot. This is simply impossible, because the range of activity of tuna has certain rules, and even when he is migrating with a big positive, it is impossible for us to catch so many tuna at once. And I really don't know what kind of abilities you have to catch these fishes, because they swim really fast. Although these fish are very lazy on weekdays, but if they encounter some large predatory animals, they will. Swimming forward at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour, do you think our sailboats can really be faster than him? The patriarch did not expect that a little kid like Arthur could know so much about tuna. Chapter 277. Listen to the way he talks about there. The patriarch couldn't help but stretched his thumb. "I know what you said, Arthur, and I know it very well. This season is the season of his ocean migration, so we can also catch some of it. That's right, we happen to be the best season to catch tuna at this time, and the meat of tuna is very delicious, which is most suitable for sashimi. So the invaders are very fond of these tuna, and they also called us to hunt this kind of fish. What should we do? We are only able to live under their rule, so there is no way. We can only go out under this situation, and we all know that. If we really cannot succeed in hunting, then what awaits us will be very severe punishment. So every year at this time, we will carry out a lot of fishing operations. I hope we can fulfill these requirements through our efforts. If you can join us this year, it will be really great." After hearing this explanation, Arthur couldn't help being particularly saddened by these people. Now he could understand why Xiaoqi could think about it. "I want to drive all those people away, and at the same time I want to drive all those people away from their small island. It seems that such exploitation is everywhere, and people like them have already had enough of such days. Will the patriarch pay a high price every time he goes there? I know that the bluefin tuna has a very strong offensive ability. If it encounters a large hunting animal, or because of human factors like you, the bluefin tuna will hug into a group and turn itself into a sword. This can also prevent the hunting work. So did you have to lose a lot every time in the past? I have heard it before, and a few friends have said this. But I didn't expect that you people really didn't resist this temptation." After the patriarch heard what Arthur said, he could see that he was really very knowledgeable, and after hearing that, he would feel that they all know the essentials of hunting tuna very much. This is really true for them. Awesome. Find flowers. The patriarch felt that with the addition of Arthur this time, their hunting action this time would definitely be much stronger than before. At the very least, there is no need to go out like every time. It means that there will be casualties. This is the last thing they want to see in this tribe. Looking at the materials they prepared, Arthur nodded secretly in his heart. After all, the things they prepared were really enough. And looking at what they have prepared this time, I can already understand that they are. The capital has really been laid down. Patriarch, there are so many things you have prepared. I really didn't expect how many tuna you really want to catch. If you want you to hunt like this, it won't take long before the entire school of fish will be hunted by you. And although these tuna have a certain sailing route back and forth every year, I think if you hunt like this every year, these tuna will definitely be wiped out. Second. Chapter 278. How can the patriarch not know this kind of problem? Although the location they hunt is different every year, but every time they hunt, these prey are really getting fewer and fewer. And these prey are hunted every year. The size is getting smaller and smaller. Those invaders are becoming more and more dissatisfied, which also makes the patriarch often suffer a lot of disasters in front of these people. Although the patriarch said that he didn't say anything, he knew better than anyone else in his heart. This is also no way. Whoever allowed him to be the patriarch for so many years, but did not have any achievements at all, now he is enough for the people to endure some such scolding. The question you mentioned, Arthur, is actually very clear to us. But we only know one place where these tuna return to their voyage, and we don't even know the other places. In this vast ocean, if you want to find a good place that can really hunt, in fact, it really has a lot of knowledge. And those of us don't have so many abilities, so we only rely on such a place every year. Come catch some tuna and hand it in. But every time I get a lot of dislike. I really don't want to care about these messy things anymore. But these are related to the problems of our entire clan. Do you think I am a patriarch too useless? Arthur could hear the helplessness of the group leader, and at the same time he could understand how difficult it is to manage such a large tribe. What's more, the current internal and external troubles have already made this patriarch feel very much sad. And how could he not understand what Arthur said just now? Xiaoqi could not help but feel very happy seeing Arthur being able to talk to his patriarch like this. Although he didn't understand what Arthur was saying at this time, it didn't hinder it. Xiaoqi admired Arthur so much in her heart, and her heart became more determined. Only Arthur could help them drive away the invaders' thoughts. It seems that this time I really have no way to go to sea with Arthur. If I had the opportunity, I would definitely ask Arthur again to see if it could really agree to his request. 0. Patriarch, what should I do with them today? I think everyone is very busy, and I can't just stay here by myself. You can arrange some work for me. It'll be fine later. Get busy with them. The patriarch watched that these people in the entire tribe were already busy doing their work there, and Arthur really had nothing to do now. Arthur, should you go and check in the cabin, if there are any leaks in the cabin, or if there are other places that you look uncomfortable with, you can go in and check. Arthur didn't expect that the patriarch at this time had actually used the word you for himself. This is really very rare. You must know that in a small country like theirs, only well-respected people can use this honorific when speaking. This is the greatest affirmation of a person. Chapter 279. Arthur nodded and quickly walked to the deck of the cabin. Arthur found the ship they were going to see this time. The body length is about 20 meters. There are tall fences on it, and at a glance, it should be able to hold hundreds of tons of cargo. For Arthur, he had seen such a large ship before. After all, he had sailed on the sea for so long, and there was a ship he couldn't control. After Arthur partially boarded the deck, he carefully observed the entire deck and some of the facilities on the ship. He felt that the ship was fairly good, and it should be perfect from the outside to the inside. Arthur went into the cabin and observed it carefully. He didn't feel any need to be improved, and when it entered the cab, he felt that the cab really needed a little bit of change. Because of the current cab, when I looked up, I saw the vast sea, but there was a blind spot between the left and right boats. It means that people can't see the surrounding environment at a glance, and if the two blind spots are really very close, they will easily collide. Although such a problem may not necessarily happen in the ocean, it is a hidden safety hazard, and it can be solved by removing a monitor next to it. Arthur silently remembered this place in his heart, and then left the cab. When Arthur went to the second floor of the cabin, he discovered that there really was a very huge fish barn in that place. Looking at such a huge fish barn, Arthur felt that at least a few thousand catties of fish could be contained in the fish barn. Arthur carefully observed such a fish barn, and he felt that it was still very good. Although Arthur used to fight and kill on the sea, he had been to such a place before. But the fish barn he went to was a smaller one, in order to make it easier for them to eat fish by themselves. So the kind of fish barn just prepared. But compared with this, Arthur felt that there was really no comparability, and Arthur could see that the fish intestines were already filled with seawater. The whole ship was ready to go, and after Arthur came up and wandered around, it was nothing more than just walking around. But Arthur was serious. He had been on the boat for a long time, and the time outside was almost time for their lunch. He heard someone shouting loudly on the shore, "Come out now, we're going to have lunch now." In fact, Arthur was already hungry for a long time, and now he heard someone shouting to eat like this, and he quickly got out of the boat. Came out. Arthur saw this when he came to the side of the ship. There are already many people waiting there on the shore. Xiaoqi watched Arthur waving his hand quickly, shouting loudly there, "Brother Arthur, come down quickly. We are going to have dinner soon. Today's food is delicious. I haven't eaten meat for a long time. This time, it's not fish. You should hurry. Come and take a look." Seeing how excited Xiaoqi was at this time, Arthur couldn't help but want to laugh. Arthur quickened his pace. By the time Arthur returned to the beach, dinner was already here. Chapter 280. Arthur looked at the long tables on the beach at this time. Those working people had already washed their hands and sat next to the table, waiting for the women in the clan to give them a start. The meal is served. Arthur walked to the side. When the village chief saw him coming, he stretched out his hand and asked Arthur to sit next to him. "How is it? You saw the equipment on the ship. Do you think the things in it are pretty good?" "Let me tell you, our ship can be said to be the best ship in our country. If it weren't for us to catch tuna this time, those invaders would never let us use this boat to fish. Moreover, our ships have been handed over to the country. This time it is because we have special needs that we let us borrow them." Arthur just smiled after listening. For him, Arthur had nothing to do with him, and he was nothing more than an outsider. Now that the patriarch can open everything to himself, it is already a very good thing not to hide privately with himself. Now that he can treat himself as one of them, he is already doing his best to Arthur. The food in front of the patriarch was the best, and Arthur was treated like a VIP. "Arthur, come and taste the characteristics of our place. I sent these meats to the mountains. Our place does not necessarily need feedback from the sea to live well. In fact, if there were no such invaders, let me tell you that our place is really self-sufficient, and there is still a piece of land on the other side of the mountain. We have grown a lot of food there. If there are no invaders among us, we can all eat and dress warmly, but since that happened before, now we people can only endure so hungry." I could hear that the patriarch was also a very arrogant person, and if it weren't for these or other problems, maybe the people on their floating island could really live a very happy life. "Patriarch, I can understand your arrogance, and at the same time I can understand that you are really not easy, and I am really clear to me. It's not easy to know a person like you. What's more, I also know that in your heart, you like your hometown very much, and I can see that you are paying for such an island. I have everything I have." These words of Arthur suddenly made the patriarch feel particularly sad. He didn't remember how many years it had been. No one has said something like this. Since the moment this island was invaded by those invaders, he was a sinner on his own island, although he had fought good to resist those invaders in the past. But because I chose that kind of time backwards, he himself is really tired. I felt that I was tired and time was slowly moving forward, but there was still a big difference between their time and the time outside, which these people on the island didn't notice. And these words that Arthur said now made him feel a little bit of comfort in his heart. Chapter 281, Forget It. Arthur's things have already reached this point. We still don't have so much ability to do so many things. do what we should do now. I have lived for so many years, and I have lived enough, and I am quite satisfied with the way I am now, although the whole country is now controlled by that Ike. But his person is fairly good, he didn't rush to kill us, and he didn't have any attempts to exploit us, and he could still endure everything like this. I can give it to everyone. If they get the best interest for them, if they are grateful to me, just forget it. If they dare not appreciate me, I don't care. These words of the patriarch are also louder, so these people around him can also hear them. What does he mean by these words? And everyone knew that. In fact, the patriarch still didn't want to stay in this place very much in his heart. Arthur could also see that all of them already had this idea, and he quickly smiled and said to the patriarch, "Look at what your old man said. When has this happened? Why bother to think about it so much?" And at this time, everyone is very clear in their hearts. If we can catch enough prey this time, we will be able to spend this year smoothly. Isn't this a good thing? Your old man has already done so much. Is it necessary to give up halfway? Hurry up, go for something to eat. Then, let's check it again. You will come to fish training in a few days, and then you will be going out to sea. Don't you go with it this time? The patriarch knew that Arthur was trying to divert this topic. After all, the topic he just said was too heavy for people like them. They have lived through this kind of life under the fence for so many years, and they are always thinking about how to overthrow Ike's rule. A meal was over after Arthur was so mixed and snoozing, and everyone at this time knew Arthur. This was comforting their own patriarch for them. After Arthur was full, he returned to the boat again. After all, he would go out to sea with them in the next few days. So Arthur had to check the equipment on the ship. The most important thing is that these devices can save their lives at a critical time. So Arthur feels like himself at this time. All these devices must be tested. Only in this way can I have the hope of surviving, otherwise, with so many people on this ship, some problems will really arise. Then Arthur didn't want to die with these people, so it was about everything on the ship. Arthur checked all the equipment. Don't tell me, it really made Arthur detect many hidden dangers. When Arthur checked out all the dangers, he told the patriarch, which also made him feel that something special had happened. I used to think that my ship had been inspected very well, but now it seems that I really have missed a lot of things. Chapter 282, If they operate according to the current equipment, they will go out to sea. If there is no storm, they can say anything, but if there is a storm, they will all be buried in the sea. All people feel very lucky. This time it was him that Arthur was inspecting these devices. If they were replaced by other people, maybe they would not be detected at all. Then they would have to be themselves. Pay a heavy price for these mistakes. After fixing all of this, Arthur returned to his small yard with peace of mind. The water in the yard was already very hot by the sun, and after Arthur had been on the boat for so long, he felt that his body was already slimy, not to mention that there was no way to bathe in the sea water. The more he washed his body, the more sticky it is. Arthur immersed himself in the bucket. But my ears are still constantly listening to the outside. He was really afraid that Xiaok, his mother, would come to his little house again at this time, and a quarrel would be really worthless. Fortunately, no one came over this time, and the dead Arthur was very relaxed. Wait until Arthur returns to the bed. There was no sleepiness in his head. Now his mind is still running at high speed, trying hard to recall all of what he has experienced on the ship today. Xiotani wants to know if there is anything else that he has missed. After all, this kind of thing is related to their entire going to sea. Everyone. Arthur felt that people like them should not be made to pay a heavy price because of his negligence. I don't know when Arthur started to fall asleep. When he was awakened by the sound of a torrential rain, Arthur realized that it was raining heavily on the island. Fortunately, Arthur's house is on a relatively high terrain. If it is changed to another place with a relatively low terrain, now it is necessary to pay attention to drainage. There was a rapid knock on the door. It made Arthur feel a little shocked. For him, Arthur was really unwilling to open the door at this time, but the sound of knocking on the door became more and more rapid. Find flowers. Arthur had no choice but to quickly rush into the rainstorm. When she opened the door, she found that it was Xiaoqi, and her mother was standing outside. When is Xiaoqi? Why don't you go back to rest? It's all this time. Why come and knock on the door? Is something wrong? At this time, Xiaoqi looked at Arthur with embarrassment. Xiaoqi's mother squeezed Arthur aside, then walked into the yard, and after entering Arthur's room, said to Arthur, "Arthur really didn't expect your fate to be so good. You live in such a big house by yourself, Xiaoqi and his father. We will live in such a small thatched house. Now it is raining heavily outside, and it is raining lightly inside our thatched hut. We are going to move over to live with you. After all, this was our house before. The patriarch is also too partial and prevents us from going back to our own home, which is really hateful. Let you, an outsider, take over our house." Second. Chapter 283. Arthur felt that he was too wronged. Such a place had nothing to do with him, and he was nothing more than that. The patriarch arranged it. What does it have to do with himself? What's more, in such a place, he actually didn't want to live alone. But now seeing the face of Xiaoqi's mother, Arthur couldn't help but hesitate. "Auntie, I think what you said is really wrong to me. Does this matter have anything to do with me? It was given to me by the patriarch. He let me live in this place. You said what should I do, and the way I look at you is really hard to imagine. If you move back, if we two can live in peace. So I think I should ask the patriarch about this matter. If he really wants you to come back, then you should not come back and I will leave here on my own. And I think it is very inappropriate for a person like you to live with me. The two of us can't get along with each other at all. You should make a decision after discussing it with the patriarch." After Xiaoqi's mother heard these words from Arthur, she couldn't help holding her heart with her hands. He kept breathing in his mouth, still swearing. "You bastard, you are an outsider. How can you own such a good house? This was originally our home, but now it is occupied by you. You really want to piss me off. My heart is going to hurt to death. Xiaoqi, go back and find your father, and then ask him to find the patriarch. I want to talk to him about this reason, why an outsider wants to bully me like this. And I just want to get back my own things. Why not let me come back?" "Oops, my heart hurts so much. Xiaoqi, you pay it back. Don't hurry back to me and call your dad over." Arthur knew that Xiaoqi's mother must be pretending to be sick now, and this was his usual method. Arthur had already experienced it once, so now he is not in a hurry at all. Xiaoqi had already known this idea of her mother's, so Xiaoqi just sighed helplessly for the words her mother said, and left the yard directly. Arthur watched Xiaoqi had left, and watched that he was still there. "Hey," the woman pretending to be sick couldn't help but say it. "I said that Aunt Xiaoqi has already left. You still don't have to continue to install it here. For a person like you, I also know that you are a very capable person. And I have only now discovered that if a person like you does not go out to act, I am really sorry for your patience. You now have no audience. Don't you need to yell in front of me? If there is something, we can talk about it. Anyway, this yard is not mine, and I live in this yard as a patriarch." He meant that Xiaoqi went to call someone back after a while. "Tell him yourself. As long as I can arrange a place to live for me, it is enough. I don't need it. Quarrel with you here." Chapter 284. After Xiaoqi's mother heard what Arthur said, she didn't feel any heartache anymore. "Oops," screamed. He sat on the chair all of a sudden, looking at Arthur's appearance at this time, and he became complacent. "Tell you that you are a bastard. It is very easy for me to do things like this, and I rely on this method on weekdays. Just take all of these people to death, and there is no need for a foreigner like you to play tricks with me in front of me. I just want to go back to my house. Don't worry, if you can leave this house so obediently, I won't embarrass you and even say that you want to live in this house. I can also accept her too, but the house must be returned to my hands. After the patriarch comes, You will tell him by yourself that you do not want to live in this place and let him give us this house." Arthur used to think that a person should have his own minimum lower limit, but looking at Xiao Qi's mother now is really shameless, and there is no lower limit at all, which really makes him all felt particularly unacceptable. There were only two of them left in this place, so there was no need to pretend to each other. Arthur looked at this old lady too shamelessly. He went straight back to his room and took what was on him. This wetsuit was changed. The rain just now was so heavy, Arthur hurried to open the door and didn't have time to wear a raincoat, so now he was completely wet. When Arthur changed his clothes, there was already a sound of footsteps outside. After Arthur returned to the living room again, he saw that Xiao Qi had brought several people into the house. The arrival of the patriarch made everyone stand up all at once. Arthur could see that they were sincerely respecting the old man in front of them. "Arthur, I'm really very sorry. I know this matter has nothing to do with you. This is just a problem in our whole family. I haven't figured it out myself. If you can figure it out, I won't let you live here after so many dislikes. Don't worry, you will live in this house first. Don't listen to the messy nonsense that Xiaoqi's mother said. He is a person with no brains. If you have a general knowledge of him, it will really make him happy, just such a wife." After a while, I asked his family to take him back and tidy up. "Don't worry, you can live in this place." The patriarch had already said so much when he saw Arthur's first sentence, which also made Arthur's heart a lot of comfort. After all, he came to this place. "It's nothing more than help, and I don't want to do anything. What's more, I have done so many things to help them deal with it myself." Could it be said that even a place to live cannot be solved for him? What's more, the 2 days are about to go to sea, and I don't know how long it will take to return. So Arthur felt that it didn't matter whether he would give him such a small yard or not. All he wanted was an attitude. Chapter 285. Arthur felt that he had done everything he did to them, not to mention that he came here only for the ideals in his heart. It can be seen that these people are very worried about whether they can really stay on this island, and all the people on their entire island are worried about this problem. Now that Xiao Qi's mother has spoken to this point, Arthur feels that he should also express the thoughts in his heart, and it can also make everyone feel at ease, so he took a look at the patriarch before speaking. "Arrive, my patriarch, I understand your thoughts, and I also know what you mean by these words. In fact, for me, I don't care where I live. Although I like this small courtyard better, if your people don't welcome me so much, I can leave immediately. I originally wanted to be able to help you solve some problems in your place, or be able to rest here for a period of time. But if you really don't welcome me, it can be said that I don't have to rely on this place. Which island I go to cannot live for a while, and I am also looking for a new route. If this new route can be developed, it will be a good thing for everyone." "Is your entire country going to be closed? Don't your country need to communicate with outsiders?" "After I found out this new route, all of you can also go to other places based on this route. Isn't that bad? Why do you have to embarrass me like this?" After hearing these words from Arthur, everyone present was shocked in their hearts. They did not expect Arthur to be such a young age. There was such a gulf in his heart, and he wanted to do such a thing, and it was really hard to imagine what he had gone through alone. Everyone looked very guilty, especially Xiao Qi's father. After all, this kind of thing was caused by the daughter-in-law in his own family, and the words Arthur said were so affectionate and deeply moved everyone present. A woman is a woman. They have their own cautious thinking, and at the same time they only live for the immediate benefit, and they don't have such lofty ideals. Not so. With broad minds, they are only working hard for their own little family, which is what Xiaoqi's mother did at this time. When he saw that everyone was not talking, you can also see the guilt in everyone's hearts, but for him, he doesn't care about it at all. Pointing at Arthur, he asked directly, grave accent, "Diaresis Arthur, I think these words you said are really discouraging. Have you really thought about staying on this island for a while? Don't you really want to live a good life on this island? The days on our island are very rich, although you have said all the thoughts in your heart. But I think one thing you didn't say at all is that if you have this new route, do you still have to stay on our island? That's impossible, so all these things you say are deceiving. Mime Private 286. Arthur silently stopped talking, because the words he just wanted to say had already been clarified, and now if people like them really don't want to talk about it with himself. So even if Arthur talked about his own ideas, he would just let these people laugh at him. Arthur felt that everything was angry at him at this time, and it really made himself feel a little inexplicable. He looked at the patriarch at this time and asked, "My patriarch, since you have already come, then please give me a perfect explanation for this matter. The place is not the place I am going to come to. You sent someone to bring me here. I don't know whose place this place was originally, but I think that by doing this you really made me fall into a kind of inexplicable helplessness. I didn't want to grab someone else's yard, but now I actually live in someone else's yard. What do you think about this matter?" The patriarch had already made it clear when he saw Arthur's first side, and now Xiao, his mother, is still so reluctant. This also caused the patriarch's face to be pulled down. At this time, the crutch in his hand squatted hard on the ground a few times, and everyone shuddered. They don't remember how long the patriarch has been angry, and they also don't remember when the patriarch hasn't done such an action at this time. Xiao, his father, took a quick look at his wife, and reluctantly patted him a few times before speaking to the patriarch. "Uncle Patriarch, you must not have the same knowledge as this woman in our family. He is such a person. On weekdays, there is not a single door on his lips, so you must not be like him. When someone like him goes back, I will educate him. Don't be angry and just be Arthur as you say, since he has come to our island, at the same time helping us so much. What does it matter if we let him stay here for a few days? What's more, the fact that he and my son are still good friends is because my daughter-in-law did something wrong. Please don't be angry. Please." At this time, Xiao, his mother, had been beaten up and yelled by her husband. Arthur felt that he couldn't stay in a place like this, and he couldn't help but feel embarrassed when he looked at them like this. This incident was clearly what they were doing, but now it seems that they have done something violent. "Master Patriarch, please don't be embarrassed. I know that this kind of thing may be really difficult for you to do, but it doesn't matter. Since your old man can't make a decision, then I will wait until the rain stops. Leave here. Is this always okay? Since your island does not welcome me, then we will go to other islands. Anyway, I must find other islands on this route. So if it doesn't matter, I will be successful. At the same time, I would like to thank you for keeping me in this situation for so many days. If I have a chance in the future, I will come back here to see you." After hearing these words from Arthur, the patriarch felt that his authority had been provoked. Chapter 287. After his wooden stick struck the ground vigorously for a few times, watching Xiaoqi's father at this time, the roots of his teeth were clenched tightly, and the words he said made everyone gasp. "I know you are thinking about something one by one, but I tell you that you don't have to think about this kind of thing. Since you people don't want to listen to my opinion, then do whatever you want. It has nothing to do with me, and I don't want to wipe your ass because of this. You can do it yourself. Don't you people all want this house? Then try to live in by yourself and see if you have the ability to live in this place. Do you know why this place was left unused in the first place? That's also for a reason. The reason why I don't let you people live. It was also afraid of our own people being hurt. This place was originally owned by Xiaoqi's house, but was later occupied by those outsiders. They killed a lot of people in this house. Think about it, can there be some resentment in this place? If so, what should we do with our own people? Could it be that I didn't understand these questions, or did I not tell you these things?" These words of the old patriarch rang out all of a sudden, and everyone suddenly thought of something that happened in this place in the past few years. Love. Now that I think about it, I can't help but feel a little creepy, but at this time Xiaoqi is not rolling on the ground on Mother's Day. He suddenly jumped from the ground. Just now it seemed like he didn't do such a thing. At this time, he looked at Arthur with a gentle gaze, smiling, and looking at Arthur with a little embarrassment. Arthur, I'm really sorry Shenzi if I was wrong. Don't know the society death. Just treat the society death as a fart and let me go. You can live in this house as long as you like. Auntie, I won't say something like this again, and Aunt, I will never talk about these useless nonsense in normal times. You can live here with peace of mind. Find flowers. Hearing this news, Arthur couldn't help but want to laugh. People are selfish, and Arthur can understand. But I never thought that people like them could be selfish to such a degree, and they could actually do this kind of thing. This is really too much for him. Arthur feels particularly unbelievable, and the most important thing is that Arthur originally thought that the patriarch could help him a little bit. But now it seems that his requirements for him are too high. He really doesn't take himself seriously, and he really doesn't want to have any continued contact with him. Although he didn't care about this, Arthur felt that he was really wronged by being so naked. He looked at everyone's eyes and suddenly became very unfriendly. At this time, the patriarch's eyes also carried a lot. Embarrassed, Arthur really felt a little funny looking at him like this. It was obvious that he did this thing himself, but now his eyes are still like this. Chapter 288. As if how much favor he owed him, this also made Arthur very angry. The old patriarch also knew at this time that his work was really not beautiful, and when he looked at Arthur, he felt a little embarrassed. But after so many years, he had been able to understand that in fact, these things he had done were already never mind. And to be able to get the best benefits for these people of his own, this is the truest idea in his heart. Arthur is very sorry, this matter has made you so embarrassed. Our village believes in these things very much. You are an outsider. I thought you didn't believe in them at all. What's more, at the very beginning, I asked you to take you to a thatched house. The place was very clean, but you didn't choose there, you chose to stay in this yard, so I didn't say so. Clear. If you really feel that you have some taboos in this house, I will give you another place. What do you think? Arthur glanced at these people in the village. It can be seen that they are gloating at misfortune, and they also have other caring expressions on their faces. And Xiaoqi's mother's face was naked. With that mocking look, Arthur couldn't help but sigh for him. Arthur didn't care about it at all. After all, the number of people he killed in the past is unclear. If all the souls came to him, maybe he would have been able to become an evil spirit fruit long ago. And he felt that such a place was very comfortable for him to live in, and it was enough. Arthur could see that the patriarch at this time was also very entangled in his heart. At the same time, the worried look on his face was not pretending, which already made Arthur feel enough. Lord Patriarch, forget it. This place is relatively comfortable for me to live in, and I don't think it matters at all in such a place, and I don't care about it on weekdays. And I and you are not the same, you are all able to float in the air, and I am just a person who can land on both feet. I am an outsider. It's the same wherever you live. Since you are so taboo, then I will live here. After all the people present heard Arthur's answer, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. After all, how many houses there are on the island? They knew very well in their hearts, and everyone knew where the houses were. There was no better place for Arthur to live in, and those places that Arthur didn't like were all good places for them. It was not easy for them to get the distribution of the clan. If Arthur was making trouble at this time, they would get even less. Only at this time Xiaoqi came to Arthur with a little guilt. Brother Arthur is really very sorry for me, and apologized to you on behalf of my parents. My mother has a bad temper, but he is not bad-hearted, so I hope you don't hate him. I know everything he does is for me. Chapter 289. Arthur looked at Xiaoqi at this time, like a white lotus. He really felt a little reluctant to see his face again. This kind of thing was nothing to him, Arthur, but it was already disgusting by Xiaoqi's appearance. The rain in the sky was still falling, and at this time Arthur watched these people have been standing in his yard for so long, and he felt that they were people. It seemed that they were born to be able to live freely in this harsh weather, and they didn't feel any discomfort at all standing in this pouring rain. which also made Arthur couldn't help but admire their special physique. The rain outside here is really too big. You people should hurry back. Oh, too. Don't worry, I will not compete with you for any resources, and at the same time, I will not let you occupy my place one by one. What cheap? The rain is too heavy now. I think your plan to go to sea seems to be stranded. Let's take advantage of the heavy rains these few days to take a good rest. When Yugzon arrives, I will go to sea with you, which can be regarded as repaying you people for the kindness that you have taken me in. These words of Arthur also made everyone feel a little embarrassed, and at the same time made them all feel a little ashamed. After the patriarch watched these people waved his hand, he directly let them all leave the yard, but the patriarch entered the room. Seeing that Patriarch Arthur had put on clean clothes, he nodded involuntarily. I'm sorry, Arthur, I didn't expect such a thing to happen. If I knew it, I would never allow them to come to you to make a fuss. That Xiaoki's mother was originally a shrew, and now she has no scruples at all for the benefit of such a small amount. He was already optimistic about this house, and I gave it to you. That's why he has the way he is now. Today, he has explained everything clearly. From now on, he will not dare to make a big noise with you anymore. Don't worry, in the future I will better restrain them. Arthur could see that the patriarch was also very guilty at this time. But for Arthur, this matter was already over, and he didn't need to worry about such a thing anymore. Master Patriarch, don't worry, I am not such a person with a small belly. And I am not such a person who does not know how to be grateful. I can stand firm in this place. Thanks to you, and Xiaoki helped me a lot when I first came to this place, so I won't be so ungrateful. But I hope this is the last time, and after I go out to sea with you, I will not owe you anything. I hope we can live in peace in the future. And what I want to do has nothing to do with you people. Even if I want to cooperate with Ike, you people have no way to stop me. These words of Arthur made the patriarch's heart chuckle. He knew that Arthur really had a temper, and he also knew that these people of his own were a bit too much. He didn't know how to make up. Chapter 290. But things have already allowed people like them to sit down. Even though he wanted to be good to Arthur 1,000 times in his heart, he couldn't say these words at all. After a silent sigh, the patriarch left the small courtyard directly. Arthur was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief at this time. So many people just now made Arthur a little exhausted, and he was not so good at talking about it, and when so many people arrived, Arthur had the urge to do it. Arthur wanted to take down these people. It was a matter of minutes. But Arthur was unwilling to add so many killings on this small island. But these people are really too shameless. The pressing step by step has forced Arthur to a point where there is no way to turn back. Now that they all had left this place, Arthur couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. But I really had no choice. If I started working in this place, then Arthur felt that he could no longer be kind to people like them. And these people are just ordinary people. And Arthur doesn't want to waste time and energy on them. There are actually many ways to kill this group of people, and there is no need to fight and kill like this in front of everyone. One night he trained, Arthur felt very comfortable in this house, and everything was washed away with such a heavy rain. The rain hadn't stopped for several days, and Arthur felt it too, a little bit unusual. Even if it rains heavily, there shouldn't be a hint of pause, and the entire sea at this time, the entire island, as if it has been splashed with water, is constantly raining squally. At this time, the water level on the sea has also grown a lot, which also makes the original beach now a piece of Wang Yang. Arthur didn't leave his room for a few days. He stuttered when he was hungry. When he was thirsty, there was water in the well. Although it was raining so heavily outside, it had no effect on him. The 6 days have finally passed, and it finally started to clear outside, which also made Arthur's depressed mood a little better. Arthur, who had not been out of the room for so many days, finally walked out of his yard when the weather was completely clear. At this time, Arthur realized that after the sunlight was exposed, The water vapor in the air outside was flying in front of him like small water droplets flying up one by one. Those flowers and plants have already been lying on the ground after such a long period of heavy rain. At this time, after being exposed to the sun, the water droplets on the grass have already reflected colorful light. Arthur took a good look at this time and turned to such a small island. He only discovered it now. It turned out that the good island after the rain was really beautiful, and watching the raindrops hanging on those objects made Arthur feel very comfortable. Arthur could see that all the people on this small island had now walked out of the house one after another. They all smiled very friendly when they saw Arthur. Grave accent Diaresis says the house in Arthur's house leaked in the past 2 days. Isn't it used to living alone? Chapter 291. Arthur can see that these people are really looking for topics here, but for Arthur at this time, they also feel that they are very caring people, and they can ask questions like this. It also shows that I want to get closer to myself. The house at home is okay. Even if I haven't come out to see you in the past few days, I still think of everyone in my heart. Isn't this just taking advantage of this opportunity to come out and meet with you? I think the temperature is a bit low these days. Those fish floods will definitely not come so early. We can stay at home for a few more days. Don't we know that it was like this in previous years? The people on the road watched that Arthur could talk and laugh with them at this time, and they were very satisfied with the particle size before it rained. It was very unpleasant. And these people have stayed in their own homes for so many days. They actually wanted to visit Arthur a long time ago, and they were afraid of disturbing him because of such things. Now that I finally saw Arthur, I happened to be able to chat with him, and quickly dissipate the unhappiness at that time, so that it would be very embarrassing to meet each other afterwards. This is the time for lunch in the village. The sun at noon was very violent. At this time, the sun shone on the ground, and the temperature rose a lot with the evaporation of water vapor. I still feel the chill in the air when I wake up in the morning, but now I feel the heat that is unique to this season. Arthur didn't know what was going on this island before, so now that he saw this situation, he felt something was wrong. If he continued to develop like this, then the fish flood will definitely come early. After all, the temperature in the ocean is quite high at this time, but these fish will choose the time to swim according to the temperature of the sea. Arthur had already gone to the beach when he had just left the house. When he saw that the ships on the sea were still peacefully parked in the harbor, he couldn't help but admire such a place very much. You should know that if it is an ordinary ship, after such a long period of violent storms, it will definitely be blown and shaken, and there will definitely be some minor problems. But when Arthur checked all the equipment on the ship, he couldn't help but sigh that the shipbuilding technology on this island is also quite powerful. For such a long time, the wind and rain couldn't make this ship have any problems, and Arthur's heart was also much calmer. After all, I will spend some time with the people on this boat in the future. If during such a period of time, what happens to the boat? He would suffer along with Arthur. Now that he saw the safety on the boat, Arthur was completely relieved. So when Arthur came back from the beach, he found that the temperature of the entire sea was rising rapidly, which made Arthur shocked and had been delayed for so long. It seemed that they had to mention the matter of going out to sea. Schedule. Arthur quickly came to the patriarch. Seeing that the patriarch in front of him was already packing his clothes, Arthur felt that there was really a lot of understanding between himself and the patriarch. Chapter 292. Arthur, you are here just in time. I think I want to ask you something. I know you have already been to the sailboat when the rain stopped. I know that you are a caring person, so this time I know that you will definitely come to me. And for me at this time, I really think that we should have a good discussion. I know your Arthur's ability is very strong, and I also know that you Arthur is a very planned person. Do you think we should be the best time to go to sea now? Arthur did not expect that the patriarch at this time had already preemptively said something like this, which also made him feel very happy in his heart. Arthur really didn't have too many requirements, and there was nothing that made him feel very dissatisfied. In this small country, Arthur felt that he had a very comfortable life. Although there were some unharmonious episodes, this did not affect the main melody. My patriarch, there is really nothing wrong with what you said, and I think a person like you is also a very famous person in this place. And I know that what you say will be treated as an imperial edict. Not to mention that I also know what you are thinking about in your heart. It's just that I'm just a foreigner. I want to open a new route in this place. So I want to get along with all these people on the island. I know that you people hate those outside invaders very much. And I also understand that you people actually need help. And this time I am about to help you. And I also hope you can understand that I am such a kind person. Arthur said and watched. At this time, the patriarch had already put down the luggage he was packing, and he knew in his heart that the patriarch was also deeply shocked by his words. Arthur didn't expect the patriarch to treat him well, but Arthur felt that he still tried his best to do a good job at this time. The relationship was the most important thing. Arthur, can you tell me when is the best time for us to go out hunting? I know you really have a lot of experience on the sea, and I also feel like a person like you. Find flowers. Ability is also very powerful, but in our place, it is really overkill, and we people are also a bit ignorant. They don't see your ability at all. But there is a voice in my mind constantly reminding us that we must maintain a good relationship with you, because you are the kind of person we cannot offend. Arthur didn't feel how capable he was, and at the same time he didn't feel how powerful he was. But these things the patriarch said, it also made him think deeply about whether he had some deviations from these people, and at the same time, he was also thinking about whether he should have more in-depth communication with them. And watching the patriarch in front of him speak with such caution, it also made Arthur feel a little very difficult to be confident about where he was, making them feel so difficult to get along with. Chapter 293, Arthur felt that this was the patriarch who took himself to another height, so that when something happened in the future, he would not be able to shirk anything. I couldn't help thinking secretly in my heart, this patriarch really had too many scheming, and he really didn't live in vain at such an age. Look at what you said. The old patriarch, how can I be compared with you rich hunters at my young age? And you don't know me as a person. I don't have much abilities at all. What's more, I'm just an ordinary child. And some of the experiences I have are only slowly figured out by myself. Compared with your experience passed down from generation to generation, it is not worth mentioning at all. And the most important thing is that I don't have so much ability to think so much now. I can just go fishing with you as an ordinary person. If you are going to leave, please let me know. The old patriarch did not think that Arthur did not give himself face by doing this, but instead felt that Arthur was a humble and polite person. Arthur, really thank you for being able to take a look at the changes in the weather and the temperature in the ocean in the past few days for the sake of these people in our tribe. We decide that it will only take a few days. Please wait patiently, we will definitely call you. After Arthur heard the news, he went straight back to his little yard. Now Arthur feels that the days are very rushing, and within a few days, when they all go out to sea together, they will also encounter many islands. Arthur's new route will slowly be put on the agenda, and all of this depends on him. Arthur is groping a little bit slowly, not to mention that if he can really find a new route in this sea orange heart, maybe he can meet others, some friends. And this time the violent storm also made Arthur feel that his ability to summon thunder and lightning has become stronger and stronger, and he has not seen it in the 2 days. I don't know how many times I have been hit by the thunder. All these thunder and lightning abilities have been stored in her body. Arthur feels that his body is now very full of energy. There was a clanging knock on the door. After Arthur walked to the door and opened the door, he saw that it was the little brother and several children beside him. Arthur, my friends and I are going to the back mountain to hunt. Are you going? The place we are going this time is the edge of the back mountain. If you want to go with us, we will take you with you. You are here for a while, you'll get something. Arthur said. After speaking, He hurriedly walked into the room and changed into some hunting equipment after a while. You must know that although the island has gone through violent storms, the temperature is still very high, so Arthur wears short-sleeved shorts during the day. But if you want to go up the mountain, you have to change into long clothes and trousers. There are everything in the mountain. And in such a season just after the heavy rain, those small animals will also come out to hunt, so protection work must be done at this time. Take precautions before they happen. Chapter 294. The little two looked at Arthur wearing such a costume when he came back for so long, and they couldn't help laughing. "Arthur, what are you doing? You have to know that there is nothing in our back mountain. Why are you wearing this one? You have seen it too. The weather is so sultry and hot. What are you doing in such a thick long dress and trousers? Do you know in this kind of weather we are already very hot wearing short shirts and short sleeves. We really can't play together anymore like you. Like you? How do we look like fools?" Arthur didn't think it was so ugly to wear it like this, and for him, he knew something like O2 in his heart better than anyone else. Under this circumstance, he didn't need to explain anything to these people. "Are you still leaving? If I don't leave, I'll have to go back." The little brother felt that Arthur became so cold at this time, it was really hard to believe that this man was the man he knew, and it was really hard to imagine that Arthur had already been in the past few days. So much has changed. When he first came to this island, Arthur was a very talkative and likable boy, but the violent storms these days seemed to have blown away all his tenderness. Do you know why Arthur lost your temper? The class struggle with your face makes us all feel very unbelievable, and we really feel like you. It's really hard to get along with us anymore. If you want to, go with us, but I hope you don't face us all with such a face. We are here to play with you at this time. You don't have to take you. The unsatisfactory feelings are all written on the face. Those of us do not owe you, so I hope you can be more pleasant with us. Where Arthur threw it, he didn't think his face was so ugly, but he was tired of being in such a place. How should he face these people? And Arthur really didn't want to see the hypocritical faces of people like them. And at the same time, he really didn't want to see those people with their calculated gazes. When he first came to this small island, Arthur felt that the people on this island were really able to open their hearts to themselves and give back with the most enthusiastic feedback. But after so long, Arthur felt that these people were really incompatible with him, and the reason why he did not leave the island, it was just to be able to find a place where he could recuperate during the storm. "Sorry, I didn't mean it just now. It's just that I haven't had a particularly good temper in the past 2 days, so some words may have hit everyone. So I hope you don't have general knowledge with me. At the same time, I know that a person like me does not have so much ability to get along with everyone. So I hope we can get along well as much as possible. After all, hunting requires your cooperation, so I don't want it. We will embarrass each other because of such emotions." Chapter 295. Arthur said these words. The little two also felt very reasonable. After all, everyone is now a grasshopper on a rope. If we can't live in peace like this, then what is waiting for everyone? Everyone knows very well in their hearts. And on the back mountain they went to this time, although it was said that there were no large and ferocious prey, there were more or less other small prey. For example, what kind of pheasant and hare, if you can. Fortunately some can also hit some, such as, if this is the case for prey such as wild boar, it would be really lucky. These little children did not expect to say how much of these prey they could get, but just to go up the mountain to play. There are also a lot of wild nuts or wild fruits on the mountain. Everyone thinks that if they can get some of these things back at this time, they can also fight the teeth. "Arthur, let's hurry up. Otherwise it will be very late when we get to the mountain, and it's actually not a good time for us to go to the mountain at this time. Otherwise, we should have gone early. But there will be a lot of dew on Mount where that we go in the morning, and our clothes and pants will get wet by that time, so the family members will not let us go up the mountain so early. It's really hard for you." While listening to the complaints of the little two, Such a child is really enviable. Arthur really missed his family a little now. Then let's leave as soon as possible, otherwise, if we don't leave at this time, it will be really late when we get to the mountain. After speaking, Arthur took the lead and started to act. The second son and the other children saw Arthur in such a hurry, they couldn't help being a little funny. Just now they thought Arthur was a very calm person, but now it seems that Arthur is a bit too much to be liked. Such impatient problems are exactly the same as these children. Arthur, wait for me. Do you know how the back mountain walks? You are still here in such a hurry. Don't you know where that place is? Waiting for us to go together. It's good for us to show you the way in front. You must know that place where we have been playing since childhood, and we are very familiar with that kind of place. You just wait for us. The little second son and some of his good friends brought Arthur to the back mountain. He said that this was the back mountain, but in fact, it was the largest mountain on their entire island. Grave accent diaresis, my goodness, this place is the back mountain you call it? It is too big. You kids are really too happy. Good. Do you often come to this place to play in normal times? It's really fun inside. I really didn't expect that this place can still have such a place that I feel particularly like. This is awesome. It seems that I will often come to this place to play in the future. Can you all come with me? When the children looked at Arthur at this time, they really thought he was a particularly arrogant man. Chapter 296. You must know that these children on the island, from childhood to adulthood, will follow their families to the mountains, or cut or hunt or get some pig grass to go home to feed the family animals. And they have lived in such an environment since they were young, so they are already very familiar with such things. And they never feel that they can get much feedback from nature in this place. But now it can be seen that after hearing these words from Arthur, the children at this time also feel that they really have a trace of happiness in it. It seems that the people who came back outside are really very different from them. For these things in such a mountain, they actually find it so interesting, which really makes people like them feel particularly unbelievable. What's so beautiful about Arthur's mountain? Don't you know? You haven't lived in this place. You don't understand this mountain at all. What does it mean to us people? We grew up in front of this mountain since we were young. From the moment we can walk, we have been with this mountain until now. Since we were young, we have received many gifts in this mountain, so we are really in awe of such a mountain, and feel that we are very sorry for this mountain. It's just that we really didn't expect that you, Arthur, would like such a place. Okay, let's not talk about it. Hurry up to the mountain, otherwise it will definitely be dark when we come back. This mountain can be better in the daytime, but at night there are so many wild animals, and then we people will suffer. And the adults in the family are also busy preparing to go to sea, and there is no time to care about the lives of us. So don't put a burden on them. Let's do what we should do honestly. After hearing these words from Xiaoqi, the friends couldn't help but nod their heads. Of course they understood this kind of thing very well, and they were constantly warned when they were going up the mountain, so now a few people also know very clearly what they should do. My mother, my second son, Arthur said, just let me pick up some dry wood around the mountain. It has rained so much these few days. The firewood at home has been completely wet, so now there is no dry firewood at home. My mother said that there may be more firewood on the mountain, so I just need to pick up some firewood and go back. The little second son looked at his little friend, said what he had to do this time, and nodded involuntarily. Another friend looked at Tenu at this time and had already said his own thoughts, so he also said, my mother said, there are no fresh wild vegetables in the house. Let me come over and pick some wild vegetables. My mother also said let me come and follow Brother Goozy, and you can pick up anything on the mountain. Listening to the little friends chattering here, Arthur couldn't help being a little amused. It seems that I am really omnipotent in the hearts of these parents. Chapter 297. In fact, when he came here, Arthur really wanted to catch some prey. After all, he was in a place like this now, but he didn't have any good food. And after I came to this place, I now eat all the food I saved from hunting before. Think about it, if I continue to consume this kind of food. Arthur felt that he might be in danger of running out of food, and in such a big mountain, Arthur felt that there must be some wild animals. At that time, I can survive even if I hunt casually, and if I use these prey to exchange some food with the villagers. They will also like it very much, not to mention the one in the castle. The little girl Arthur still remembers now. After all, that is the princess of this country, and that is Ike's daughter. Such a pure little girl. Arthur really liked it very much, but after a quiet look at the carriage, Arthur had already taken it to heart. How could Arthur tell other people such things? Little brother, what is your upper body for? If you are the same as them, then you can go with them as soon as possible. I can just walk around the mountain by myself. I still don't know what kind of things are on this mountain. If I can catch other prey, I will give it to everyone, but now I really can't guarantee it. The little brother felt that Arthur was really going crazy at this time. How could he act alone at this time? Although this mountain said that there were no ferocious beasts, it was enough for Arthur to have a trace of fear. What's more, such a place is not a good place in the eyes of the older generation. There have also been many fierce prey in it, but it seems that it was completed all at once how many years ago, disappeared without a trace anymore. And such an opportunity is in the minds of the old people, they will never say it. So for so many years everyone has known that there are no ferocious wild animals on this mountain, but the specific reason is that few people can really know what it is. No. 0 middle dot find flowers middle dot. The second son is a relative of the patriarch's family, so he still knows a little bit about such secret things. So when he saw this behavior of Arthur, he couldn't help but squeeze a sweat for Arthur. Arthur, our place is not where you can come and leave as you like, so you still don't have too many ideas, okay? You still stay with us honestly and just get something at random. Is this okay? When we all are together, we can take care of each other. In this way, all of us can be safe and sound. In case something really goes wrong with you, I won't be able to atone for my death even if you die, but you are a key figure in our entire clan. How do you say we should treat you? You must not do anything, otherwise, the patriarch will never spare me by then. So please stay with us steadily. Second, chapter 298. Listening to these little two sons playing Arthur at this time, I didn't think he was like him. The person who could change their destiny, and for him Arthur himself, he didn't think he could really do this kind of thing very well. What's more, his own question of the old patriarch had already denied it. So the current Arthur just wanted to live a more stable life. Don't worry, little brother, I won't go deep into the mountains. I'm just on the edge to see if there are any wild animals in this place. Even if we hit a pheasant or a hare, can we all go back to fight the tooth sacrifice? I also know that there is no shortage of meat at all. After all, there are too many gifts in the ocean. But the animals in the ocean are really incomparable with this kind of land animals. And we've been eating things from the sea for so long. Wouldn't it be better if we could change the taste? So don't talk about me here. My idea has been decided. Looking at Arthur's firm gaze at this time, all the children were really speechless. After all, people like them did not have the ability to change Arthur's thoughts. At the same time, they also knew that Arthur would never listen to the suggestions of their little kids. And the most important thing is that these children actually feel that there is not much danger in such a place. After all, they grew up, but they have played on this mountain all the time. In fact, most of the mountains on this mountain are only those pheasants and hares. Even snakes have become extinct in this mountain. So for the children in these mountains, this place is really a very safe place. Well, Arthur, if you are willing to go, then go. But tell you if there is anything you want to call for help. We are doing our own business in this neighborhood. If something really happens to you, you must shout loudly, and we will definitely rush to rescue you. Arthur looked at the appearance of these little kids, and couldn't help but want to laugh. They didn't have the same hair and wanted to save themselves. 0. How is this possible? If it is useful to call for help in a place like this, it is really weird. And he didn't want to be embarrassed in this place. The children saw that Arthur had already nodded in agreement, so they were busy with their own affairs, and Arthur was walking up the mountain along a small path, while observing the surrounding situation and taking a look. Are there any wild animals in such a place? As you go in, the trees get bigger and bigger, and when you raise your head, you can only see the scattered sunlight in the gaps between the trees. Arthur looked at this place at this time should not be exposed to sunlight all year round, and such a place actually has another advantage. That is, there must be many precious Chinese medicinal materials in this place. Arthur felt that if he could find some good medicinal materials in such a place, then he would be worthwhile. Chapter 299. Arthur was searching this place carefully, just to find some good medicinal materials, so that they would have more assurance when they were sailing in a few days. After all, the sea is changing rapidly, and no one is a long victorious general, and so many of them go out to sea together. If something really happens, these medicinal materials can also temporarily save their lives. Slowly looking forward, Arthur saw a few medicinal plants that he wanted most. These medicinal plants are ephedra. Ephedra is a very precious Chinese herbal medicine. It is a good auxiliary medicinal material for the treatment of colds. On the boat, people will often catch a cold and fever if the wind blows or is poured by the rain, so such a medicinal material is the best. And it is also the cheapest. You have to know that there are many medicines that can be solved on the spot, so you can see it now. Ephedra also excited Arthur. If you can find ephedra on such an island, you can also find some other medicinal materials. This is also a very happy thing for Arthur. Arthur felt that if they had these medicinal materials in the vast sea, they would all be able to be self-sufficient. You must know that the most scared thing in the vast sea is getting sick again, if there is no other food. The rich resources of the sea will never make everyone hungry, but if you are really sick, it can be really troublesome. You must know what can help you in the vast sea. Relieve pain? This ephedra is a very good medicine for colds, and it is also the most common medicine. Although it must be accompanied by some other medicines to complement each other, for the main ephedra, if there is no him, the ratio of other medicines will definitely make these medicinal materials lose their own effectiveness. Arthur felt his excitement, and quickly ran to the side of these medicinal materials, gently digging up the soil with his hands to dig out the inside, and then carefully placed him in the one he was holding inside that little basket. After some such gains, Arthur's confidence became even stronger. After all, in the past, he didn't know that these medicinal materials could be found in this mountain. And you have to know that there are many medicinal materials, and they can't be on different mountains casually. All these medicinal materials have their own fixed growth mode. Now that Arthur has found so many medicinal materials on this mountain, it means that the vegetation on this mountain has not been destroyed. And the most important thing is that there must be some other plants on this mountain that can be used for medicinal purposes. After Arthur wandered around the mountain for a long time, he realized that he had reached the middle part of the forest. At this time, no other children's voices can be heard outside, and at this time, it can be seen that there is a very large virgin forest inside. The trees are very dense, and the people who can shine through the little bit of sunlight through those trees feel itchy. Arthur felt that he had really come to this place. Chapter 300. The more medicinal materials in such a virgin forest, the better, and this place has a lot of humus soil, which is the most critical good thing for medicinal materials. But Arthur felt that if so many medicinal materials could be found on such an island, then these people on this island would be really blessed. At this time, the air in the forest also made Arthur feel very comfortable. And Arthur had been in this forest for a long time before he knew it. When he thought of those little children, he couldn't help but feel a little bit worry. If those children know that they are not going back, they will be very anxious. Arthur took all the medicinal materials he had found into a small basket, and then began to walk slowly out of the mountain. When Arthur took all these things and walked out of the mountain, he saw the few children who were constantly looking inside. As soon as he saw Arthur's figure, the little brother ran to Arthur quickly, slapped him vigorously, and then said, "What are you doing here? It makes us so anxious. Did you know that there are some fierce beasts in it? We don't dare to go inside on weekdays. What are you doing? If you want to die, don't drag us people. If something happens to you in this place, do you think we people will save you or not? We are still children. If you go back to find a parent, you will definitely have something big by then. We are really too worried. If you don't come back, we will all go back to the patriarch, Pienece. Arthur could see that the anxiety on the little second son's face was not pretended at this time, and he must be very worried at this time. The slap that hit him just now was really too painful. But this did not prevent this Arthur, who smiled happily. "Sorry, when I searched for things in it just now, I was really fascinated. There are so many good treasures in this place, so I have a little bit. I forgot the time." "It worries you." The little second son looked at Arthur's unharmed appearance, and felt relieved in his heart. He was really worried just now. And the most important thing is that in this big mountain, if Arthur really has something wrong, they will regret death. Grave accent diaresis. "Arthur, what did you do just now? Do you know that you are going to scare us to death? You have to know that we are in this mountain. All small humans are in the food chain of this mountain. We are just at the bottom. If something goes wrong here, there will be no one good who can save you. And those of us have always just grabbed some pheasants and hares in this periphery." "What did you find inside? Don't tell me you didn't hit anything." "It just dug a bunch of useless grass. We came to this mountain for hunting. You see, we each brought a lot of good things back." While talking, the little two let Arthur see their results.